morning. Happy Thursday, everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. It's another blistering day in Mesa, Arizona, where temperatures are expected to reach fucking hot. Really, really just fucking hot. I don't know how hot. I went out yesterday in the afternoon. Sorry I missed you guys, but I had to head to court yesterday morning. So I'm trying to resize something real quick. There's my ADHD brain for you that you guys have all come to accept. I don't know if love, but accept. But I had an emergency hearing I had to get to yesterday morning. And then I was like, you know what? I got to get outside. I tried to golf and I made it about 6 holes and I was dying, sweating. I immediately lost any amount of electrolytes that were in my body. And but we're here. There we go. You spit out cough. Oh, for this, not for this, not for this. What did you say, Bowsy? What did you say? I don't even know what you said. I missed it. The chat is limited today. TikTok, welcome. Good to have you guys here today. Reminder, and thank you, Dolphin, for leading by example. Everybody, while you're here, if you can do me a favor and share the live, that would be greatly appreciated. If you can gift, that'd be awesome. Jen's not going to be here today, so we can do whatever the fuck we want. That being said, I'm going to forget completely about the gift goal, so I need you guys to also help me with that. This is how we keep the lights on. This is how we pay the bills. Most of my bills are just lawyer fees, which is really fucking cool. Custody's no fucking joke. We'll just say that. And I do want to say, as we get started, before all the dipshits roll in, and it's just the kind of the OGs here, I want to say publicly thank you guys very much for continuing to support this channel and supporting me, despite the fact that, like, literally any day, any number of things can happen, and I can be called into court. I don't know. God, it sucks. Can I just tell you, like, as somebody who overshares, one of the most difficult things to do is not overshare what's going on in my personal life, but in order to keep the people I love from having to be inundated with my online life, I try and keep my private life very, very private. I will just say that I am gone for a reason, and that reason is 100% to protect my daughter. And I have ADHD, which I tell you guys every single day. And I say that because I want to normalize it. But any of you who have ADHD or any sort of neurodivergence know a lot about hyperfocus. And I'm a motherfucker when I think my daughter is in danger. And I don't stop, and I don't quit until I feel like I'm completely out of options. So that's what I'm doing. I'm hyper focused at times, and it just sometimes makes it so I have no ability to do put together an outline or do a show, and sometimes I have to go to court. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. My daughter's fine. She's safe. And hope we have some sort of resolution with this at some point. Thank you. Appreciate it. Like I said, Jen's not here. Casey's in charge, I guess. I thought when Jen wasn't here, I was in charge, but right before the live started, Jen called me and let me know that I'm not in charge. Casey is in charge, so there we go. Can't claim to be progressive who cares about kids and then bitch when a dad does a dad thing. I appreciate that, Am. Thank you. And honestly, you guys have been great about that. I haven't had any negative feedback from anybody about that, so I appreciate it. Some of you are going to really fucking hate today. I do have to say that. So Casey, step me, ma. Yeah. We are going to have to talk about Fauci, and we are going to have to talk about parts of COVID, and then we'll move on from that. I hesitated even thinking about covering it because I believe it's a distraction, but it's a distraction that's working, and so I wanted to cover it in a way that can try and give some clarity as to what Republicans are doing and what they're claiming. My Republican friends who I cite often text me about that yesterday, and they're like, they're frustrated, but I have a fear that there are many people who will think like my Republican friends, and what they said is like, yeah, dude, this is weird, but the whole system's broken. I think we need to be very clear The system itself is not broken. Democracy relies on people acting in good faith. And I can look back at 2010 Republicans and I can say, God damn, they were wrong. But I can also look back at 2010 Republicans and say, it was good faith. They did most of it in good faith. There's always been like some level politically in people and this is just politics in general, people obfuscating the truth, people maybe being too hysterical about something that they don't actually that they're not actually concerned about, or being hyperbolic or performative, or senselessly outraged. And to some extent that's been going on forever. With the 24-hour news cycle, it's gotten significantly worse. But what I said to them and what I'd say now is, like, you can say the system's broken, you can both sides this, but like since this orange blowhard came around, the Republican Party has just been progressively more of a joke. I can't believe we had that Fauci hearing. I'll get to that in a minute, but I can't believe that this is where we're at. There's no more even facade of good faith from Republicans. And the saddest part about it is that it's taking intelligent people who are just sick of all this shit, and those people's conclusion largely is, oh, the whole system's fucked, so I'm just going to check out of it. The whole system's not fucked, but like the American experiment, democracy in general, representative republics, whatever you want to call it, they rely on people acting in good faith. They rely on a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, who are saying things that are true, and focusing on things that actually affect people. This shit with Fauci affects literally none of you. Literally none of you. It affects none of us. This is just Rand Paul upset because Fauci made him look dumb. And it's a bunch of conspiracy theorists who are desperate to be proven right because they never go back on their conspiracy theory. They just 10 toes down and say, like, this was true. And we'll get to that in a minute. The people running this hearing, the people all over Twitter, which is where I see them most, saying like, oh, look, we were right again, proven right again. No, the fuck you weren't. You just weren't. And they're all saying, and I've engaged with a few of them. I've talked to a couple of Republicans. There's a handful of Republican content creators who I can contact and talk to behind the scenes. They don't like those messages to be public, which is fine. I think that's their right. And if that's what it takes for me to be able to talk to them, fine. But I've asked, like, what is the accusation here? What exactly is it that you think happened? How exactly are you now making the claim that you were right all along? What information changed here? And you'll be surprised to know, and I would invite May. Yeah, May, that's May. Trust the science, LOL. Yeah, that's your whole party. You don't trust science anymore. That was the goal. That's been the goal of the right fringe for decades. They never wanted you to trust science. They've been attacking science forever. It's the same reason. May, watch this. May, do you think climate change is real? Do you think, excuse me, let me ask a better question. Do you think human beings have an impact on the change in the climate? Specifically, the destruction until we worked on it of the ozone layer, rising temperatures, more extreme weather. I'm going to guess she says no. They certainly don't believe in science when it comes to things like diagnosis. They've been conditioning you to hate science, gain of function. Yeah, gain of see. Everybody knows what gain of function is. It's silly. You don't trust science. That's what they wanted you to do. Who benefits? I was watching The Sopranos. I don't know if I'm on the last season of The Sopranos or not. I got to look forward, but it was interesting. I'm on the season where Tony's like in a coma and he's like living out these other lives in dreams. It's really kind of bizarre, but when he comes out of the coma, there's this priest or pastor that keeps coming around, and he's Tony obviously is a Italian Roman Catholic, and this priest is some sort of Protestant religion. I don't know. I think it's a made up one, and he keeps coming in trying to get Tony to go to his church. And Tony's reading a book about dinosaurs, and he's just like, yeah, science would have you believe that dinosaurs existed millions of years ago, but they existed and roamed on this planet at the same time as humans. the Bible tells you so, which also I don't think is true. I don't know where he's getting that idea. But I've heard other people say that before. And then I was watching a debate this morning with Andrew Wilson and Dinesh D'Souza, and they were arguing. Andrew Wilson and I just happened to share a disdain for Israel, but Andrew Wilson's disdain for Israel is largely in opposition to the Jewish faith, which he calls an evil. And they're saying like there's always this dichotomy, and it's interesting how they do this. And this is probably what happened, May. I know, May. I suck. We get it. We get it, May. But just listen for a second, and then you can get back to insulting me. Your religion and your side of the aisle tells you there is good versus evil. There's no evidence of that. There's no good versus evil. Who benefits from you believing in good versus evil? The church, right? Or the people who claim they're doing the good and they're fighting the evil. And when you believe you're on the side of good and you're fighting the evil, well, evil is destructive. It's going to destroy the world. So you will justify all sorts of behaviors. You will justify an absence of science. You will justify an absence of evidence in order to say, like, oh, I'm on the side of good. Science is a way to take you away from the side of good. Science, because it disproves the Bible, therefore, by definition, is evil, and we should not believe in science because it's evil and it takes you away from God. That's why the Republicans have this belief system. It's really hard to believe that God exists, that he's in control of everything, and he has a plan, and then also look at things that happen that hurt people and say, like, oh, that's the same God. So you then have to say, well, that's evil. So God has a plan, and the plan is to allow evil people to do evil things. That's part of it because you have the ability to choose. You have agency here while you're in this life, and in the next life, then you'll be held accountable for that. But there's no like evil side. There's not a side here, but they do that all the time. And what they do is they say, we are good, they are evil. In order for there to be good, there must be evil. And you're like, oh, that makes sense. That's true. I've had to deal with in my own life currently. I was talking to my daughter about this. There is a person, hopefully who is no longer in my daughter's life, but who was in my daughter's life. And she said, for the record, I fucking hate this person. Hate them. If I saw this person, it's on. Like and I'm not a fighter. I'm not tough. I'd probably lose a fight. I don't even know, but it's on. There are very few human beings on the earth that if I saw you in person, like, I would lose control. I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of saying that it's on. I don't think that's cool of me to say. I don't think I'm tough for saying that. It is what it is. But my daughter said something about him and about his children. And we were talking about parents and how, parents love their children and children love their parents, even when their parents are imperfect. And she's like, yeah, that's probably true, except for his children. And that put me like between a rock and a hard place where I had to talk to my daughter about a real lesson she needed to learn. And I had to defend somebody I fucking hated. And I just said, you know what? Like, baby, people, I believe, and I do believe this, I believe people are inherently good. The disagreements that we have in this chat, I think that the people that we dislike the most in this chat and those who dislike me the most, I think you're mostly good. I believe that about everybody. I believe we are regularly judged on when we are not good. And that's okay, because there's like some level of protection that we need to have. Some people, when they're not good, are really fucking bad. Some people, when they're not good, just like don't wipe their ass and they have grumpy days. Some people, when they're bad, kill somebody in a DUI or beat their wife or threaten their children or beat their children or, any number of things. That's more scary. So you have to deal with that. But this place that we're at currently in this country, and it'll be evident in the Fauci hearings, is a dangerous fucking place for anybody to be in. It's a dangerous place for any society, for any community to be in. There's always calls to calm the rhetoric. I don't really give a fuck about that. I would like to talk about things that are real. I wish that the people who we have sent to Congress would talk about shit that is real. Shit that matters. This isn't real, and we'll get into that in a second. But first, let me introduce this with a couple of things first. I do want to talk about politics. I want to show for May. You're going to hate this. Republicans, you're not going to like this. But some new polling has been done by Fox News. Also got a new background today. Welcome to the inaugural meeting of the Board of Peace. You'll see that's Trump. That's Darth Vader, Mr. Burns, Cruella DeVille. I forget what's. I've not seen this movie. I forget what his name is. I've never seen this movie. I know it's Anthony Hopkins, right? The Joker. And who the fuck is this? Who's this dude with the upside down Oakleys? Hannibal Lecter. Thank you. How did I miss Hannibal Lecter after Trump talked about Hannibal Lecter forever? Jesus Christ. Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter. Sorry, I haven't seen it. Who's this, though, in the red and blue hat? Hannibal Lecter. Mad Hatter. That's the Mad Hatter? Okay. All right. Well, welcome for anybody that's new. Welcome everybody who's new. It's good to have you guys here. Those joining us on Facebook as well. Welcome. Cookie said, since Jen's not here, I can let the secret out. She is so sweet. She dots her eyes with hearts and loves hugs from strangers. Love you, Jen. That's true. Jen regularly sends me gifts where it's just like hugs and big hearts. She tells me she loves me on the regular, just not when you guys are around. Lisa said, very thankful you found your way out of the cult. Thank you. I appreciate that. I am too. It is destructive. Dolphin said, I'll say it again. Your stream is the only one I support with donations because I really do appreciate everything you do. We are RTP.
Not you lying with me listening this entire time.
I thought you were gone. What are you doing?
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
I thought you were going to take the day off. What happened?
I told you I'd be listening. So.
Anyway. You guys want to hear a funny story about Jen that is true, though? Jen called me right before the stream to tell me that she wouldn't be here and that Casey was in charge. And then she's like, I'll be listening, though. I'll check in if you need anything. And I was like, no, Jen, don't worry about it. Just like have a day. Just chill. And she's like, I'm fine. I don't need to chill. I was like, oh. Okay. What I meant was like, so have a relaxing day. And she's like, don't tell me what to do.
You're not the boss of me. All right. I'm leaving now. Right, I'm listening now.
All right. Shit. Never mind, guys. I guess we're not safe. It scared me, too. I wasn't ready for that. I didn't know she was here. Anyways, here's some encouraging Senate polls from Fox News. Now, I realize this is not Fox News covering it. This is Morning Joe. But let's look at some current Senate polling from Fox News.
In Georgia, incumbent Senator Jon Ossoff is leading his Republican challenger, Mike Collins, by 13 points.
13 points in Georgia. Georgia was a red state not too long ago. Georgia and Arizona have been ruined by Donald Trump. They can thank Donald Trump for losing their red majorities.
In North Carolina, Democrat Roy Cooper leads Republican Michael Whatley by 9 points
in North Carolina.
The race to fill the state's open Senate seat.
Now, remember, I showed the Senate map the other day, and there were a couple of races that I specifically Ohio. I thought North Carolina was close. Ohio looked Republican. Just remember that this is new polling. This is from Fox News, so this is the latest polling. So it appears, if Fox News is correct, there has been a massive shift.
In Ohio, former Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown is ahead of Republican.
That's massive. Every poll I've seen before this had them basically neck and neck. That's a massive lead. Again, one poll, margin of error there is 3%. And it's this is just among registered voters, so this isn't going to take into account non-registered voters. But I would be shocked if there was some sort of movement of unregistered voters that the Republicans are going to be able to tap into here.
Incumbent Senator John Husted
was he the guy? No, he wasn't the guy that said that for yesterday. That was the other one. Okay.
There was somebody just cursing like
it was Moreno.
Like a sailor. Moreno.
It was Moreno. Okay.
Yeah. In Iowa.
Can you imagine somebody using the F word in public space?
Yes. Let senators don't. Fuck you, Morning Joe. It's okay if people say curse. We got to stop it. I want Congress to curse more. Normalize cursing. It's the only thing Bernie Moreno's ever done that I was like, I like that. He said fuck yesterday.
Especially just in that setting, it just seemed very performative.
Yeah.
In Iowa, Democrat Josh Turek holds a narrow 4-point lead over Republican Ashley Hinson.
Hey, shout out Iowa. Good job, Iowa. Good job, Casey.
Right now. In Georgia.
All right, so some positive polls there for Democrats. We'll see as new polling comes in if that is reflective across the board, but those are the Fox News polls. Here was the big thing Trump said yesterday that everybody's freaking out about. I do think it's being taken out of context in a lot of ways, but I think this is partially why Republicans are struggling to find anybody but their base.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up, but it's not possible for us to take care of daycare.
May, we're going to mute you if you can't stay on subject. Mute May for 5 minutes. May, we'll be to Fauci in 5 minutes. You shut the fuck up for 5 minutes.
Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things, they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing, military protection.
Now, this is, somebody said that's an old clip. Who was that? Roly-poly below. It is an old clip, but it's going around everywhere today. Smart move by whoever is behind the scenes getting people to push this clip out there. On a day that, and this is the politics of it, on a day when Republicans want you to talk about Dr. Fauci, this has been making the rounds again. It's just a reminder that Republicans don't give a goddamn about you. And they're talking about Fauci because they don't want to talk about anything else right now. I think that there is, I think that there's plenty of criticism for Fauci. I often get told that like we worship Fauci. I don't worship Fauci. He's flawed. He's arrogant. He's egotistical. I do think that I think that he had an aura of self-importance, but he also was a public servant. He also didn't make any laws. He also didn't make any rules. So like the arrogance and the flaws that I see in Fauci, to me, didn't have a direct impact. So, and we'll get to that, but they don't want to talk about anything other than that. They don't want to talk about the fact that Republicans are cutting SNAP benefits, Medicare, that people can't afford to live right now. They don't want to talk about any of that. They certainly don't want to talk about this. Here's Fox Business this morning reporting second quarter GDP was expected to be 2.1%, which isn't great, but that was the expectation.
In line with estimates. Let's get to GDP. This is the first look we're getting at second quarter GDP, Maria. The first read is 1.5%, 1.5%. The estimate was a gain of 2.1%. So we're coming in a little bit light on this first.
40% under the estimate. And we're coming in just a little bit light. Can you imagine if your paycheck was 40% lower than it was supposed to be, and you go to your boss, say, hey, what's up with this? He's like, yeah, I know it's coming in a little bit light. That's 40%. Did I do that math right?
Look at second quarter GDP in line with estimates.
All right. And then this. I do not like Sean Strickland. I am a fan of mixed martial arts. I used to say I'm a fan of the UFC. I'm not a fan of the UFC anymore. I'm a fan of some of the fighters. The UFC as an organization can suck my ass. But this is Sean Strickland. He's a bigot. He's doesn't really like women. Specifically, has a disdain for LGBTQ people. He's regularly a conspiracy theorist. But one of the things that Sean Strickland, and he's on with Sean Ryan here. One of the things that has opened a lot of people's eyes is the genocide in Palestine, and watching the people that they voted for who said no new wars openly embrace not only the genocide in Palestine, but starting a new war in Iran. And here's what Sean Strickland had to say yesterday about his attendance in Ohio at a Trump rally.
And like,
yeah, there you go. That's a better way to put it, Professor Vex. Sean Strickland is a violent neo-Nazi. Correct. Let's not pretend that this is a good man, but I think his experience at a Trump rally is eye-opening.
And like when have you been to a Trump rally?
No.
Oh, dude, it's fucking nuts.
No.
So like when you're at a Trump rally, you're like, oh, I could definitely see how Hitler happened. Like,
I'm gonna go to CTE with most of these dudes. Maybe. I mean, Sean Strickland had an incredibly brutal childhood. He was beaten. He was abused. Fighting was his only way out. I'm not making any excuses for what he's done, but this is what happens when you abuse children. This you can create monsters. Hurt people. Don't abuse children.
I'm not fucking joking to you, dude. When you go to a Trump rally, it makes you question the sanity of everybody. Like, Trump's up there talking about, like, we're going to throw people in jail for burning the flag. And I'm like, dude, I don't like.
Thanks, Damien.
I mean, again, you shouldn't do it, but it's like, you know, there is a fucking constitution. I'm looking at Vivek and Vivek.
Oh, man, if I hate to say this, but like, if everybody approached politics the way that Sean Strickland approached that particular issue, yeah, you shouldn't do it. I don't like it, but there is a constitution. Imagine if our whole country reacted that way when Colin Kaepernick took a knee. No problem. The amount of violence that resulted from Colin Kaepernick simply using his First Amendment rights is insane in this country. Imagine if we all just took that. Like, I take this. I see regularly, not too regularly, but I live in a conservative area. I see people protesting. I see anti-abortion protesters all the time. Is it stupid? Yeah. Do they have the right to do it? Yeah. Should I let it like destroy my day? No, I'm going to laugh at them. But they have every right to do that. Do I like Patriot Front? No, fuck those guys. Do I want to see them assaulted? No. Do I think they have the right to protest, to walk around in their cute little matching outfits and play military? Yeah, they have that right. What do I want to happen? I want people to make fun of them. That's what I want. I want people to use their First Amendment right to point out how ridiculous they are.
He's just like fucking like rubbing his head, and he gets out and leaves a Trump rally. And I'm like, fuck.
The last abortion protest I saw last year, there was a abortion protest in Tempe. I guess it was more of like a counter protest. There was a march to protect women's right to choose, and then there was all these anti-abortion protesters there.
Everybody else is just fucking.
Again, they're allowed to be there.
Yeah, fuck them, throw them in jail. Like if Trump said go grab a gun and go do anything, they would fucking do it. They would fucking do it.
I know, it's a cult. It's and that's another good. That's one of the things about Christianity. You're not supposed to put. You know, you don't put your faith in man. They will.
That's also what That's
every
also
fucking time.
Yeah, Florida. Yeah, we're friends with the Umbrella Brigade. Great people if you follow Umbrella Brigade. So I see their stuff literally every day of abortion protesters, and they sit out there and they protect people coming in to Planned Parenthood while they get protested, and they're funny. There's other groups that do that as well, but yeah. So literally every day I see some sort of abortion protest. All right. Before I get to Fauci's comments, I want to get to Senator Hassan, what she said, because I think she's right here. This isn't in chronological order, but this was basically the Democrat response. And I'm not going to show any of the Democrats really, because they basically were just some version of this.
That's what I wish we were trying to address in a bipartisan way. But instead, we are here in an attempt to entrap you because you had a distinguished career trying to put Americans' public health first. Since President Trump took office in 2025, more than 4,500 cases of measles have been reported. That is more cases in the year and a half since Donald Trump has been president than were reported from 2000 to 2024 combined. Children are dying because there has been increased vaccine hesitancy fueled by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and frankly, his entire administration. Thousands of people have been sickened by a food-borne parasite, and the outbreak is nowhere near under control, as staffing at the FDA and other critical public health entities has been slashed by Russell Vought and Elon Musk. I just was at one of my community health clinics, and they are reporting fewer and fewer people coming in for care because they can no longer afford health insurance. That's what I wish we were having hearings about in this committee and in the Health Committee. That's what I wish we were trying to address in a bipartisan way. But instead, we are here in an attempt to entrap you because you had a distinguished career trying to put Americans' public health first. With that, I yield.
Okay. I largely agree with what she said there. If this is really, like, if we're really concerned about the health of Americans, fine, have this hearing if you want, but can we have hearings on other things? Now we're going to get into just a barrage of the most hypocritic Republicans you'll ever see. I wanted to play a portion of Fauci's statement. Now, Fauci didn't answer a single question. He pled the fifth. We'll get to that in a minute, but he did give an opening statement.
Served at the NIH for over 54 years, 38 of those as director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Over that period, I proved that I believe in and respect the value of legitimate congressional oversight. In fact, I testified before and or briefed Senate and House Senate and House committees well over 200 times over those 38 years. During and after the COVID pandemic, I have appeared multiple times for hearings in the Senate and the House, usually under oath, and sat for several days-long transcribed sworn interviews, answering questions about the very issues that are now the subject of this hearing. However, given Senator Paul's obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution, his repeated slanderous comments about me, and recently his publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me, the only conclusion.
All right. I want to stop it there for a second. I want to be clear on how we got this information. Fauci was writing daily on the updates of what they were finding out with COVID. And he kept that as a personal journal. I don't know why. I don't know if he was going back to read it. Who cares? He wrote on a laptop, and because he was a government employee, that has to be backed up. There's records. There's records that have to be kept. At some point, RFK, who has made, let's be honest about this, and if you Republicans are going to be honest, let's see if you are willing to recognize what, like, the hypocrisy here. RFK has made millions of dollars being a vaccine skeptic, suing pharmaceutical companies, and promoting anti-vaccine science. Let's be clear on that. Dr. Fauci has not made millions of dollars promoting vaccines. In fact, we'll get to some of the money that he did receive. It's not millions. He did receive some money. It's nowhere. It's not millions. It's not even million. It's less than $1 million. But RFK has made millions. So if we're going to criticize and if we're going to smear Fauci for making money from his position that vaccines are safe and effective, which there's no evidence that he made any money outside of like $100 a year for a specific vaccine, then you have no other option. You must then say that RFK is corrupt as well. If that's your position, it has to be both. It cannot be just Fauci. Otherwise, you're an ideologue. Otherwise, you are what we think you are, MAGA. You're people who only have a set of standards for people that you disagree with. It gets back to how we started the show and the conditioning, specifically like religious conditioning of people where it's good versus evil. And you learn that you start taking sides that way. I know one of the interesting things coming out of religion for me is the way that I viewed sports. When I stopped being religious, I stopped hating the opponents of my favorite teams. I tell you, growing up, I promise you, if you asked me who the worst person in the world was, I would have told you Troy Aikman. I would have told you Kevin Green, because he hurt Steve Young. I would have told you Brett Favre. Any of the 49ers, I might have been right about Brett Favre, actually. Let's not go Maybe I was right about that one. Brett Favre is a piece of shit. Recently, I would have told you Richard Sherman, like Russell Wilson, Cam. Fuck you, Cam. I still think you're a piece of shit. Fuck you, dude. But like as I came out of religion, I stopped hating like the people that I was supposed to hate because of sports. I hated LeBron James for like most of my life, and then I came out of that, and I just kind of could respect what he did. It makes you like, it conditions you to be this way. When you are a person who believes in good versus evil, and then you start siding with sides, I promise you that there will not be in this chat. I do not think anybody will lodge a legitimate criticism of Fauci. It will be criticisms of us saying, I can't believe you defend them, or it will be he's evil, he's corrupt. I watched this whole hearing. There is one legitimate criticism of Fauci that I agree with, and I'll show it here in a minute. But most of the criticism is legitimately just like, we don't like you. We want to blame you for everything.
Conclusion.
I'm not religious, but Tom Brady will always be my nemesis. Well, watch the video of Tom Brady mouth kissing his kid, and I think that's a fair assessment of Tom Brady, too.
I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote.
See, there's Jeff Ellis right there. You're a fucking idiot. Apparently you didn't watch all. See? They do it every time. Nobody will lodge a legitimate criticism of Fauci. They'll criticize me, Jeff. Fuck you, man. Fuck you, dude. Yeah, like you just did it, dude. I just told you what you were going to do, and you did it. Why'd you do that? Why did they give him a blanket pardon? See, not a criticism of Fauci. Every single one of them will be the same shit that they're doing here. They don't know. That's the thing. They're all angry, and they don't actually really know why they're angry. They're just like, why aren't you as angry as I am? Well, because you guys aren't telling me anything I'm supposed to be angry about. Just tell me what I'm supposed to be angry about. Axe said, most cases of measles in 30 years, and we're just getting to August. We support you no matter what. Speaking of support, don't forget to remind people to donate now. Thanks for stepping up, Travel Casey. Thank you, Ack. And a good reminder, guys. I am crowdfunded. I guess we are crowdfunded. Jen's not here, but it's how we pay the bills. Brianna said, you ever smell mothballs? How'd you get your nose between their tiny legs? That's a good question. That's a good question, Brianna.
Quote, behind bars, unquote. Any reasonable person who has followed his unhinged obsession with me would readily come to the same conclusion. Therefore, although it pains me to do so, because of the respect.
Fauci is a criminal. Name the crime, Sean. Name it. See, there you are again. Name the crime. What crime did he commit?
I have for the
Sean, if you don't name a specific crime, we got to mute you for 2 minutes.
legislative branch of government.
Why are you protecting him? See? What? Guys, I already predicted your responses. Please don't make me do this all day. Please don't make me stop my fucking stream all day while you say what the criticism is that we said. Give me a specific fucking criticism. How is it that you are all coming up with this? I just told you what you would do. I'm going to do it anyways. Here we go. Why are you protecting him? You must not know enough. Tell us. Tell us what we don't know then. I watched the whole fucking hearing, the whole thing. Well, I didn't watch it. I listened to it. The whole thing.
And my decades-long record.
He lied about the 6 feet rule. Not a crime. The efficacy of the vaccine. Not a crime. Look into his AIDS work. He's a monster. None of those are crimes, Sean. Also not true, but none of those are crimes.
Of cooperating with Congress under the
lied about gain of function. Also not a crime, and he didn't.
Advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
He knew his work at the Wuhan lab is where the virus came from. He didn't work at the Wuhan lab, and they have not confirmed where the virus came from yet. We still don't know where the virus came from.
To refrain from answering your questions. Thank you.
That's not true. I'm not arguing with miserable people. I'm making fun of miserable people. It's different. All right. Shit, did I close my outline? Son of a bitch. My bad. Open this back up. All right. Well, that's not in the right place. Okay. Did I put these? I don't know if I put these in the right order. Let's take care of this one real quick. Here is Rand Paul saying one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever heard. Now, Rand Paul says a lot of dumb, for a smart person, which I believe Rand Paul is, he says a lot of really dumb things. Now, this is right after, at one point, Fauci's attorney started trying to speak. Rand Paul said he wasn't allowed to speak. I think Rand Paul's right about that. I don't think, like, this isn't a court, right? So there's different rules. If you are invited to testify, you don't get to have somebody else testify for you. So I think Rand Paul was correct in not allowing his attorney to speak, and I think he was correct in kicking him out when he continued to speak. But here's what Rand Paul then said after that, which is pretty dumb.
In America, can you?
Better question is, why is the left protecting him? See what they say? No criticism. Oh, I know you asked us for a specific crime or criticism, but we don't really know why we're mad, so we're asking why you're protecting him. What are we doing to protect him? He's fucking testifying in front of Congress. Do you know how many senators or members of Congress yesterday asked him questions who are in open defiance of congressional subpoenas, including Josh Hawley? Why are you protecting them? One of the problems that we have with all this shit is Republicans turned Congress into a fucking joke after January 6th when they stopped complying with congressional subpoenas. And so now congressional subpoenas have no weight. Criminal referrals from Congress have no weight because they completely obliterated any semblance of credibility that they used to have. And you can say what you want. You can try and say it's not Republicans, but we remember Hillary Clinton complying with the subpoena and testifying multiple times, including in the Epstein files. Bill Clinton, former president, complied. There's like 13 or 14 members, sitting members of Congress right now who are in open defiance of congressional subpoenas. So there's no credibility left anymore. Fauci is better than all 14 of those people. Fauci is better than Hawley. Fauci is better than Andy Biggs. Fauci is better than Jim Jordan. He showed up. Now, he might have pled the fifth, but at least he read a statement. He showed up, and he's testified in front of Congress multiple times, including times after he was out of office. You don't have a leg to stand on, Republicans. You don't. None of the people that you on your side of the aisle show up when they're given congressional subpoenas. Democrats are doing their damnedest. And progressives and people who support the Constitution, they're doing their damnedest to show up and comply with these subpoenas. But there's no doubt about this. It's a fucking witch hunt. Again, charge him for what? Name the crime. What is it? What is the crime that you are accusing him of?
Have your witness plead the Fifth Amendment, then your attorney gets to tell you. Have your witness plead in no courtroom in America can you have your witness plead the Fifth Amendment, then your attorney gets to testify.
Correction. Every goddamn motherfucking court in America, if you plead the Fifth, your lawyer testifies for you and presents the case for you. That's what lawyers do. That's what they do. That's their whole goddamn job, is to speak on behalf of the client. This isn't a courtroom, so they can't do that. But once again, Rand Paul.
In no courtroom in America can you have your witness plead the Fifth Amendment, then your attorney gets to testify. That's what
they do. That's the job of an attorney.
Letter is the attorney's complaining and testifying, saying he didn't do it, the prosecution's unfair. You don't get to do that. That's one thing you give up when you take the Fifth Amendment. You say, I'm not going to testify, I'm not going to give you any information. You don't then get to put your lawyer forward to justify it.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you do. That's what Trump did when he went. That's what Trump did, right? Did Trump speak in his own defense here? This was the deposition in the fraud in the New York fraud case. This was Donald Trump.
Asked, if you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment? I was asking that question. Now I know the answer to that question. When your family, your company, and all the people in your orbit have become the targets of an unfounded, politically motivated witch hunt supported by lawyers, prosecutors, and even the fake news media, you really have no choice. I once asked.
In this deposition, he pled the Fifth 440 times. 440. Somebody ought to show this clip to Josh Hawley. Somebody ought to show this clip to Rand Paul, because here's what Josh Hawley said on Sean Hannity.
I think there absolutely are, Sean, and I think the first one is to hold him in contempt of Congress. And I would just say this, as a lawyer, former attorney general of my state, when you get immunity, and he's got immunity from Joe Biden. I wish he did.
He can't plead the fifth if he was pardoned. Hey, Coyote, I have some advice for you. Don't just hear what Josh Hawley says and then repeat it, because that's obviously fucking stupid. And I'll explain that in just a second. But you're wrong about that. You absolutely can plead the fifth if you're pardoned. Absolutely.
But he's got it. As much immunity as Hunter Biden has. When you get that, you can invoke the fifth.
You can.
And he came today and invoked the fifth because he is guilty as all get out.
This is not a court. You absolutely can plead the fifth. 100%. Even with a pardon, you can plead the fifth. This isn't a court of law. Some of you seem to have failed basic civics. You have the right to not incriminate yourself. Can Fauci be tried for crimes? No, you're wrong, Coyote. And I'll explain why you're wrong in a minute, but hang on. Stop saying it. Well, I'll keep saying it because you're going to look dumber in a second. I'm going to show you a Republican proving that you're wrong.
And he knows it, but it was wrong what he did today. He did not have the right to do it. I think we should hold him in contempt.
By the way, currently in contempt. Or not in contempt, in defiance of a congressional subpoena. Josh Hawley refused to comply with a congressional subpoena. This man, talking about somebody who actually showed up and pled the fifth, he didn't even show up. You don't have any credibility anymore, Republicans. That's what sucks. Like, this hearing's a sham anyways, but you have no credibility, especially Josh Hawley. He didn't show up when he was subpoenaed.
John, here's just a little hint to viewers at home. Innocent people don't invoke the fifth. Fauci invoked it 111 times. You draw your own conclusion.
Yeah. Innocent people don't plead the fifth. I guess Donald Trump's not innocent, right? I mean, I know the courts found him guilty, but you guys don't believe that. All right. Here is... Yeah, let me go back. I skipped this. Here's the part of the hearing that I have some agreement with. And plug your nose because it's Josh Hawley. But I do have some agreement with what some of the things that Republicans said. And Republicans, you'll like this, but I again, listen to the whole hearing, waiting for a crime. I don't know yet what the crime is. Have you guys cited what the crime is? Jeremy said towards Jay's Silence of the Lambs rental. It's a classic. I just don't like. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it. I don't like. I think I always thought it was a horror movie. It's probably not, right? Leslie said I didn't have the stomach to watch them trash Fauci yesterday. He doesn't deserve it. I agree. And then Leslie also said, after the vaccine was available, according to JAMA, more deaths in red states that voted for Trump. We'll get to some of that data too. Yeah, like the data is overwhelming that the vaccine is safe and effective. And you'll notice that in those hearings yesterday, one thing that's interesting is not a single Republican cited a study. Not one. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Sarah. I think it's more of a thriller. I'll watch it. There were no studies cited yesterday. Watch the chat today. If we missed it, maybe I missed it. Was there a study that they cited that says that the vaccine was not safe and effective? Because I haven't seen a study. Cite the study, Clubber. Any of you. It's overwhelming. Great, cite the study. Coyote, your next one has to be citing a study. Give me one. Give me a study that says the vaccine is not safe and effective. See, and this is what I'm talking about. If Republicans say stuff enough times, the people that follow them just believe it. There wasn't a single study cited the entire time. Exactly, it was theirs. These are individual people saying that after they were vaccinated and 6 months later had a heart attack. Yeah, people have heart attacks. Like that doesn't mean that it was the vaccine, right? You need to track it. You need to study it. We'll wait.
Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something.
We want to talk about honesty? You tell us You tell us about your sexuality, Josh Hawley. You tell us why you ran out of Congress. You tell us why you won't comply with a congressional subpoena. He's such a bloviating dipshit.
What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
Could you stop breathing? Come on, brother. Get yourself some Flonase or something. Do we have to hear this, bitch? What color's the carpet? Does it match the drapes? Why am I rock hard right now?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know, as a Supreme.
That's not true because states fucking exist. States. 50 nifty United States. They fucking exist. A pardon from Joe Biden does not mean that you can't be prosecuted by states. Alabama, Arkansas, I sure miss my mom and pa. States. You ever heard of that, Coyote? You ever heard of a state before? Federal pardons don't mean that you can't be prosecuted by states. So he has a Fifth Amendment right to not speak because he can be prosecuted by states who would use his testimony, which is public, to prosecute him. I'll take the apology now, Coyote. I'm not going to do it. States. 50 of them. They have their own courts.
Court has been clear for a century and more. Brown versus Walker, 1896. When he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs. They know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law.
Brown versus Walker is a Supreme Court decision that says Congress can constitutionally compel a witness to testify and give up their Fifth Amendment self-incrimination rights if the witness is granted full legal immunity from prosecution for the crimes discussed. First of all, they're not discussing any crimes. They haven't even cited what crime he committed, but they're not offering full legal immunity because they can't offer full legal immunity because he can be charged individually by individual states. So he isn't pardoned. And Josh Hawley knows that. Josh Hawley's a smart guy. Josh Hawley went to law school. Josh Hawley was an attorney general. He knows this. He knows that being pardoned for federal crimes doesn't mean that he, as an attorney general, can't go after whoever committed those crimes, even if it's the same crime, if they do it on the state level. He knows that. He just knows that you don't know that. And he's a performer. He's good. It's just like all these Republicans, all these closeted theater kids. No shade at theater kids. I love theater kids. I love going to musicals. I love theater. Shout out theater kids. I love all of you. But if you are a closeted theater kid, perhaps the Republican Party might be a place for you.
This is about contempt. Contempt for this
the fact that you're doing this. See, there it is again. We're not defending Fauci. I'm criticizing Republicans. But I'm going to agree with Hawley here in a minute.
Body and contempt for the American people. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions.
True.
It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic, you got rich.
Oh.
Didn't you? You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. And not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money.
Dollar Train and 2 words for you, Alvin Harper. PTSD. Someone's got some PTSD there.
To apply for and solicit cash.
Tell me why Josh looks like the villain from the Reanimator movie. If you know, you know. I don't. It's Casey, will you get me the villain from the Reanimator movie? I don't even know what that is.
Prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million. You did all of that during
actually just under $1 million. It's like $996,000 or something like that.
the pandemic, didn't you? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You remember Greg Folkers? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Your chief of staff is the answer. Do you remember Patricia Conrad? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon
Trump pled the fifth over 440 times and got rich? Yes, but they don't care about that.
my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
She was your personal assistant. And what were these individuals doing in the depth of the pandemic in November of 2020 when millions of Americans were suffering from COVID? What were they doing? I tell you what they're doing. Folkers was on your behalf soliciting and gathering information for a cash award. Let's look at it. We've got his email right here, right over my shoulder. Folkers says, I'm working on this nomination for the Dan David Award for Fauci. We need to beef up the COVID part. Do you have language in the can that you could share that delineates how we responded in new ways to COVID? He sends this.
Okay, I have a problem with this. I'm on Josh Hawley's side here. This Fauci fucked up here. I do agree. It is a fair criticism to lob at Dr. Fauci that during the pandemic, he took a member of his staff and had them work on building his resume for the Dan David Award, which is $1 million award. Now, 10% of that goes for academic scholarships. And then the net receipts for him would have been $899,960. This is a fair criticism of Dr. Fauci. It is, however, not a crime. It is a waste of resources, and in my opinion, not a crime though. But this is, I think this, if you want to criticize Fauci for this, this is a very fair criticism. And I will say again, I read a lot of the stuff from Fauci's journal, and I've seen Fauci at other times. He can be arrogant. He can view himself as self-important. He's not perfect. I don't think he handled everything correctly. I don't think he was right about everything. I agree with Hawley here. I'm fine with this coming to light. However, it's not a crime.
To multiple federal employees. What was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
It was a $900,000 cash award.
It was actually $1 million cash award, but then 10% goes to a scholarship.
$900,000 cash award. And he got it.
He did.
Because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. Here they are over my shoulder. Besides the Dan David Award, you've got the Partnership for Public Service, you've got the Adelson Prize, you've got the Smithsonian Award, you've got the National Academy of Medicine's Award, you've got the CDC Foundation. In fact, you turned your staff into a full-time application machine. You actually wrote to people and said...
Now, this is actually, they've actually asked him about this before. The Dan David Prize is $1 million. The rest of these are significantly smaller payments. And I think, if I remember right, I don't remember if it was this or royalty payments from patents, but I believe some of these were donated to charity. When you take up the rest of these, it doesn't even add up to $1 million in total. So he got close to $1 million. Almost all of that came from the Dan David Prize. Again, I don't care that he got the Dan David Prize. I don't like that he was using his staff to lobby for it.
Your staff into a full-time application machine. You actually wrote to people and said, do you think maybe I'd qualify? And you got cash for all of this. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 employees, was it? In fact, you used 8 separate federal employees on federal time using federal resources to solicit cash awards. Isn't that true?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Here they are right over my shoulder. Here's all of them. The people that you use, federal employees, so that you could go and get cash money. And the most hilarious part is that you weren't content to even dragoon them into applying for all of these cash awards. You then had them go out to the ethics.
Good use of dragoon, by the way. Well done, Holly.
Agencies and ethics watchdogs and demand that you be able to get the money. That's right.
That's a little disingenuous. He ran this through the NIH federal ethics officials. So in order to take this money, he has to run this through. Like we have ethics, even at the National Institute of Health, and he ran it through federal ethics officials. They reviewed it and they approved the payment. And the reason they approved the payment is because they determined that it qualified as a bona fide public service award because it came from a private foundation rather than a foreign government or our government. So because it's a private organization, NIH ruled that it did not violate any of their ethics rules. Again, I don't like it. I don't think it should be allowed. If we want to change that law, we can certainly change that law. But what he did was not against the law. It's a fair criticism, though.
Got it in your emails. Your staff and employees on federal time, using federal resources, being paid with federal dollars, are soliciting cash for you.
Also, Holly doesn't give a fuck about this. He's yelling because he's a theater kid. If any of you gave a goddamn about somebody using their office to make money, you would care when we pointed out that Trump made $2.8 billion. You would care when we point out that Ken Paxton, on a government salary, somehow has acquired $9 million worth of properties, making like $150,000 a year. You would care about that stuff, but you don't actually care about this stuff. This is your way of smearing Fauci. This entire thing is about smearing Fauci, right? Because if this was about Fauci breaking the law and putting people in jeopardy, we wouldn't be talking about this. Why are we even talking about this? It's already been cleared by ethics. We've already covered it in other hearings. They're just rehashing old hearings. This has already been investigated. This has already been dealt with. So let's not pretend this is serious. Let's not pretend this had anything to do with Fauci breaking the law. This is a smear. Because Holly, like everybody else in this room, knows, number one, it's not illegal, and two, this dumb bitch right next to him perpetrated the largest Medicare fraud in United States history at the time. It's been surpassed now. Sorry, Rick Scott, you don't still hold that. But this fucking penis with ears right next to him perpetrated the largest Medicare fraud in the history of the United States. He is on the record saying, I don't want to be poor. I don't think it's fair if you come to Congress and you can't do insider trading. I don't want to hear from you guys. I don't want to hear from any of you when Rick Scott is sitting next to Josh Hawley. No, you don't care about this. Again, it goes back to this like team game or the good versus evil. You have viewed Fauci as evil and you're good, which doesn't make sense, by the way. We'll reiterate this a million fucking times. Dr. Fauci is responsible for 0 lockdowns. Dr. Fauci is responsible for 0 vaccine mandates. There is not a single goddamn thing that restricted your movement or your rights in this country that was done by Dr. Fauci. You know why I couldn't go into restaurants? In Mesa, Arizona, one of the most conservative places on earth? Because our mayor, John Giles, put out a rule that said we couldn't. You know why I had to wear a mask? Because my mayor, John Giles, said I had to wear a mask. You know when I didn't have to wear a mask anymore? When my mayor, John Giles, said no more mask mandate. You know why I had to keep 6 feet apart from people? Because my mayor, well, actually, we didn't even really have that. That was part of like the shutdowns. But even it was like it wasn't a law. Like nobody got arrested for that. Every single COVID restriction that you guys are blaming Fauci for is another indictment on your own lack of education on how laws are created and enforced. It is remarkably disheartening to see the stupidity of MAGA as they sit here and hyperventilate about Dr. Fauci. He gave you the data. and the data sometimes changed. And then a bunch of Republicans followed that data, and they put you in lockdowns if you're in a Republican state. And Democrats did it too. Your gripe is with Republicans, but you can't do that. You can't blame Donald Trump for this. Why? Oh, that's Jesus. It might as well be Jesus Christ to you. You can't blame your people. So this is all just a way to deflect blame from the people who trusted the science, who gave you lockdowns, and then you get to blame Fauci. Once again, none of you are actually citing science. It is, I mean this as disrespectfully as possible. If you think that the COVID vaccine did more harm than good, you are a dumb, lazy motherfucker. You get all your news from your social media feed. And I know this because there are zero, throughout the entire world, there are zero scientific studies that would confirm what you're saying. Your entire belief that it is not safe is based on probably a Joe Rogan clip or somebody who's making money off of you. I will ask one more time from the chat. Name one fucking study. One. Now, I asked for one, and everybody who disagrees with me is going to call me stupid. They are going to say it's overwhelming. They're going to tell me to do my own research. They're going to tell me I'm a sheep. They're going to tell me I just followed instructions. And not one of these dipshits is going to give you one fucking study. Why don't I let somebody call in, bro? You're welcome to call in. You can message Travel Casey. Casey, if you're in the YouTube chat, you can message her on Discord, and you can come up here and you can cite the study. See? Look, you're embarrassing yourself. Let's read Republicans' responses to this real quick that I just said they would do. I don't need a study to believe my own eyes. That's dumb. That's dumb, right? Right? Like my neighbor, when I was a kid, had to be rushed to the hospital and almost actually wound up dying years later, but almost died because he ate a Snickers bar. Now, I eat Snickers bars all the time. My own eyes would tell me that Snickers bar was poison. Why do I not die and he does? Well, because he has a peanut allergy. Here we go. Let's keep looking. Dumb. Comment on VAERS data, please. It's not data. VAERS data is not data. VAERS data is self-reported, and it's the same thing I'm talking about now. And this is what you have to understand. If you go look through the VAERS data, it'll be something like, I was vaccinated, and 3 days later, I got terribly sick. 3 days later, I got COVID. Okay. How did you get it? You don't know. I was vaccinated, and then 3 months later, I had a heart attack. Okay. Is that proof? No. You have to study this. You have to find the source. Intellectual incuriosity is a feature of conservative politics. They love you so very much because you say dumb shit like, my own eyes told me, I did my own research. They get to lie to you all the time. And they get to tell you that anybody who disagrees with you, that they're lying, that your opinion is just as valid as data. It's not. Guess you forget on purpose that the media spent every day telling people to wear masks. So? You wear masks when you're sick to stop the spread. I got vaccinated. My mom took away my PS5 and said, "Get a job." Yeah, you could just see. There it is. More insults. Mitch, how about you give me a study? See how emotional you are. What research have you done to prove it's safe? I've read. We can cite the studies if you want. Literally, every single scientific study, double-blind study, confirms that you are more safe vaccinated than not vaccinated. Every single study, 100% of the studies. There are zero that say you are better off unvaccinated. Why would you use a new form of vaccine? Listen, all vaccines have to be used on people, right? All of them. But COVID put me in the hospital. I was one of those people who got myocarditis, but long before COVID vaccines existed. I was in the hospital multiple times thinking I had heart attacks. I had myocarditis. And when I first got it, they didn't even know that myocarditis was a side effect of COVID. So I got COVID. I was sick for like 3 weeks. It was brutal. And then for like months after that, I remember one time I was playing golf and I was sitting in the cart next to my friend who is a doctor, but he's an animal doctor. And I showed him my watch. We were sitting still and my heart rate was like 156. I have a low resting heart rate. Like I'm always between like 60 and 70, relatively low. I was like, bro, I don't know what's going on. And I was pouring sweat. It was like in December. It's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, what is this? He's like, are you stressed? You having a panic attack? I'm like, no, man. Like I'm out on the golf course. I feel fine, but my heart is racing. And it stayed that way for a while. Eventually, I went into urgent care. That was the first time. And then there were other times. At one time, I was just driving. I had my daughter, and I looked down. My heart rate was like 165. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I didn't even know. So, like, I want first of all, I'm afraid of needles. I don't like vaccines. I don't get the flu vaccine. Even though the data says I should get the flu vaccine, I don't. But, like, I hate needles. I'm deathly afraid of needles. There's a couple people in here. There's some people here who watched me get a tattoo one time, and I about passed out. I don't do well with needles. But I have a daughter. I care about her safety. So when it came time to vaccinate my daughter, I read every study I possibly could to make that decision and make that decision not based on my feeling, not based on my own eyes, not based on some shit I read from Joe Rogan, but I went through the data. And it is like every one of you that is disagreeing with me right now, go to your favorite search engine and say, can you find me a study, a double-blind, peer-reviewed study that says it is unsafe to take the COVID vaccine? Or I guess you'd have to say like that it is more safe to be unvaccinated. Just find one. Why are we trying to teach these idiots science? Because maybe it'll get through to like one. Flu shot. Yeah, that's true. It's a flu shot. Thank you. Whatever you want to call it. It's a vaccine for a specific strain, but it's a flu shot and it's supposed to help. But yeah, that's another good point. Like, it also wasn't an untested vaccine. Like, Trump using Operation Warp Speed, I think they shortened the final stage. But the reason we didn't have a vaccine for a long time is because they were testing it. It's not like they just said, we're going to try this. My ex-wife, she had long long COVID. So when she got COVID, she didn't get nearly as sick as I did. But she got that thing where she lost her taste and her smell. And then after it came back where she was no longer contagious, it warped. And so her taste buds were forever changed. And she couldn't eat. Everything she ate tasted like trash, like actual trash. Obviously I couldn't taste, but she's like, it tastes like when you open a garbage can, that's what everything tasted like, except for two things. She could eat avocado toast and she could eat macaroni and cheese. Everything else, I had to watch her suffer for 2 years. When she would work, she would go like on work trips. She would have to take a toaster. She took a toaster with her. And she would have to go to the store, and it was only Trader Joe's mac and cheese, by the way. She'd have to make sure there was a Trader Joe's nearby. So for 2 years, she had to do this shit. Eventually, she had to get a pretty expensive surgery, and that it slowly fixed it. But like, the vaccine saved millions of lives, unequivocally. Every study shows it. And we can do this real quick. I'll say, like, are you more safe being vaccinated or unvaccinated from COVID? So we'll just look and we'll pull up the sources here. I'm using Perplexity, so it's going to go search multiple sources. The CDC currently says being vaccinated against COVID-19 is substantially safer than being unvaccinated. Vaccines significantly reduce the risk of severe illness, hospitalization, and death, and they also lower the risk of long-term complications from the virus. This is literally Trump's CDC. The same people who are telling you right now not to trust this on the CDC website tells you COVID-19 continues to cause millions of illnesses, hundreds of thousands of hospitalizations, and tens of thousands of deaths each year in the United States. It's the 10th leading cause of death in 2023. Vaccines can help you from getting sick from COVID-19. If you do get COVID-19, vaccines can make the illness shorter and less severe. This is the CDC. No, it is Trump's CDC. It's led by Trump's picks. See, now we go brought to you by Pfizer. Yeah. See, it doesn't matter. This is the problem with all of you. And this is why we think you're a joke. Because you don't care about data. You care about slogans. Brought to you by Pfizer. I look vaccinated and boosted? Yeah. You mean I look alive and healthy? Yeah. I mean, these aren't insults. All right. Moving on after Holly. Look what I did. I tried to agree with Josh Hawley, and they still wanted to fight with me. But that was the criticism that I thought was fair. Cookie said, I lost 2 family members 5 days apart from COVID, 1 month before the vaccine was made available. It was the most tested vaccine in human history, double blind, 30,000 participants. Fuck these paste eaters. Neely said, MAGA, they formulate a new flu vaccine every year. It doesn't take decades to create a vaccine. You're not scientists. That's for goddamn sure. Coyote, sorry I missed this earlier. I said, Stanford Medicine's study shows why mRNA COVID vaccine can cause myocarditis. Yes, Coyote. Thank you. It can. One of the side effects of the COVID vaccine is that it can cause myocarditis. Are you more likely to get severe myocarditis from the COVID vaccine or from COVID? Now you need to look that up, Coyote. No, keep looking. No, keep going. I'm agreeing with you, Coyote. I just hadn't looked at the comments, and I apologize. You sent that like 10 minutes ago. I get your frustration. That's my bad. Now, take it one step further, because you're right. The COVID vaccine has side effects. But if you want to make the best decision for yourself, this is how you analyze data. And I say this every day. I don't know if you're here every day. The difference between conservatives, largely, and progressives is when you stop. You researched until you got the answer you wanted, and then you stopped. You need to ask more. There's more questions. Can the COVID vaccine cause myocarditis? Yes. Are you more likely to get myocarditis from the COVID if you are vaccinated or unvaccinated? Ask that question now, Coyote. Google that. Are you more likely to get myocarditis if you are vaccinated or unvaccinated? Because remember, I got myocarditis. It's one of the side effects of COVID. Every study shows that you are less likely to get it, not that you won't get it, less likely, and that the severity will be diminished if you are vaccinated. Are there people who have gotten COVID and died? Or excuse me, the vaccine and died? Yes. Are there people who have gotten COVID, then got myocarditis and died? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know of any specific instances. Is it possible? Certainly. Does that mean that overall you are more safe getting being vaccinated or unvaccinated? Let me give you an example. Let's say that you have a heart condition, okay? And let's say that you are susceptible and you are at far greater risk getting myocarditis or dying from myocarditis because you have a heart condition. Let's also say that you are bedridden, that you stay at home. You might not want to be vaccinated. There's a scenario where you, because you're at great risk, you might say, I'm not going to get vaccinated, and I'm going to make sure that nobody comes into my home who can be a carrier of COVID-19. That person would be making a good decision. There are instances where choosing to be unvaccinated is the safer option for you. That would be one of those instances. The mistake that you're making is projecting that across the board as a whole, of saying you take these limited instances and you say, look, bad thing happened, therefore, nobody should be vaccinated. But search myocarditis deaths, and we can pull this up. Show me, let's just do it from the United States. Can we? I do think there's I think there's a range of opinions that are okay. For example, I have family that lives in a town called Ephraim. It's in Utah. Everybody in Ephraim lives on almost everybody, at least at where my family lives. They're all on acres of land. Do you think that if you compared the death rate of New York City, and I'm death, the likelihood that you die of COVID, do you think if you compared New York City to Ephraim, that you are more likely to die in New York City or Ephraim? I don't know this actual answer. However, I can see a scenario where you might live somewhere that is so rural that you didn't need to mask up. If you're not around people, you don't need to mask up. You're already social distancing. There's places all over this country where they're already social distanced. They don't need to have masks. And perhaps they're so isolated that COVID never made it to those communities. In New York, you can't avoid it. You are literally face to face with people in New York City all the time. If you look, especially early on from COVID, if you draw a map of all the places where people were getting COVID the most, and you overlay that map with a population density map, they're almost identical. This was the criticism early on. They're look, San Francisco, Los Angeles, no, it was San Francisco. It was New York City. It was Boston. All these densely populated areas, they got hit the hardest. Why? Because there's so many people moving around each other that the virus, it was like a buffet. The virus is hello, 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 jumping on everybody. But if you're in a rural area and you don't see anybody for 3 days, yeah, it's kind of hard for that virus to move from host to host to host, right? It's fair to say that there was not universal guidance that worked for everybody, but it's impossible. How are you going to get that messaging across? So the safest thing to do is just be hey, socially distance, wear a mask when you're around people. When the vaccine showed up, get vaccinated. That's the best advice you could get. It doesn't mean that it's untouchable. It doesn't mean that you can't get sick. I was really careful about social distancing. I know how I got COVID, actually. I was social distancing with my friends. We would spend time together, but if we'd be outside and we'd stay away from each other. I was hanging out with some friends one night, and we were all drinking, and my friend had given me this beer that was it was one of those 8% beers, and it sucked. It tasted like shit. And I was I sipped on it. I was oh. And his wife was do you not like that? I was that's not really my thing. She's do you want some wine instead? I was yeah. And she's I just poured this. I took a sip, but I'm good. I haven't been sick or anything. I was okay. So we switched. She gave me that glass of wine. She liked that beer. She drank it. You can call me a pussy, I guess, probably for that. I drank that wine. The next day, that friend texted me, and the whole group was hey, just so you guys know, my wife is really sick today. She got COVID. Watch out for it. 3 days later, I got sick. I was the only one that got sick. Nobody else that was there that night got sick. I took the wine from her. She didn't know she was sick. That's how I got sick. Right? So we were careful about it, still got sick. Everybody else did things the right way. I didn't. I was the only person who didn't do it the right way, and I'm the one who got sick. Everybody else there that social distance was safe. None of them got COVID. And they might have got it later. I don't know. But she got it, and then I got it because I was the only one who didn't keep the rules. I also had to endure a lot of questions about how I got COVID from his wife. That was fun. So we just went with it. All right, let's go back here, though. Death rate. Among people diagnosed with myocarditis, of all the patients who got myocarditis, that were 0.015% died. After 18 months follow-up, mortality was 0.2% for post-vaccine myocarditis. Okay, here's the difference. If you were vaccinated, the death rate for those who got myocarditis was 0.2%. For those who got myocarditis that were not vaccinated, the death rate was 1.3%. That's you are 7 times more likely to die if you get myocarditis if you're unvaccinated. There's your number, Coyote. 7 times more likely to die. Now, 1.3% is a low number still, right? If you get myocarditis, 1.3% of the people die. I want that number to be as low as possible. So if I want that number to be as low as possible, I'm going to look at that data and I'm going to be vaccinated. You look at that number and you go, that number's low, so I'm not going to be vaccinated. But statistically, I'm making the right decision there. I'm going to take the number that's better for me. This is according to, by the way, here's the study, just so you know. This is PMC. National Library of Medicine. Here's where the study's from. They took 22 studies considering a 55.5 million vaccinated cohorts and 2.5 million in the infection. So out of they studied 2.5 million infected people. And the result was you are 7 times more likely to die from myocarditis if you are unvaccinated. That's how you do research. That's how you do data. You aren't doing that, Coyote. You have started with the idea that COVID is going to the COVID vaccine doesn't work and it's actually more dangerous. And then you just stopped when you found one study from Stanford, and the study just simply said that you can get myocarditis from the vaccine, which is true. Natural immunity is always better than a vaccine. True, Robbie. But what's even better than natural immunity? If you have natural immunity and you're vaccinated, right? Again, you stop at the answer that you like because you're trying to compare what's better. I had, I don't know how long the antibodies last, probably don't have natural immunity anymore. I had natural immunity, and then I looked at the data and it's like, that's good. Being natural immunity is better than vaccinated immunity, but it wanes. The natural immunity fades. So because I have natural immunity, I want to be as protected as possible. So I also got vaccinated. And then the vaccine, the immunity that you get from a vaccine also wanes because the virus is mutating. So then I update the boosters as the virus mutates. The same argument that you guys make for not getting the flu shot because it's a different strain every year is the exact argument that you should be making for COVID. As the virus mutates, you should get the booster shot. Just statistically speaking, that is the safest way to live your life. And you can like, I think a lot of you are like, I'm tough, dude. We did this the other day. That was what's his face? I ain't afraid of no vaccine. I ain't afraid of no virus. It almost killed me. Fuck. What's that guy's name? Yeah, it was a Delta. Shit, what is his name? From Louisiana. I know I'm doing the impression perfect. It's one of my only good impressions. What is that guy's fucking name? Not Kennedy. Clay Higgins, thank you. Clay Higgins. When he was like in front of Congress, he's like, we shouldn't be that. COVID's not scary. And then they're like, here's an article you wrote called COVID Almost Killed Me and My Entire Family. He's like, fuck. All right, let me check comments real quick. Cam said, love you too, Jay. Also, Aaron Donald might be coming back. I saw that. Yeah, dude, that's terrifying. I hate that. Robert said, Dollar Train and two. Oh, I got that. 2 words for you, Alvin Harper. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded. If you want to help us knock out that gift goal, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App are the way to go. Super chats also work. Amy says, Antifa dues and a joke. What kind of trousers does a ghost hunter wear? Just a pair of normal jeans. I loved that joke so much. Sonia said anti-vaxxers are just as stupid as flat earthers. So they're largely the same people. I would imagine most of the anti-vaxxers here also think the earth is flat. Cookie Nev said, this is not debatable. 1 million Americans died from COVID. At one point, we were losing 3,000 people a day. How are people rewriting the horror we all lived through? I remember hospitals overrun. This is sick. Neely said after the vaccine was made available and vastly reduced the deaths from COVID-19, Republicans died at a rate 43% higher than Democrats. True. Paul is unvaxxed and strong. Oh, I'm strong. That's so stupid. It's like going to the gym and you're like, I don't need protein because I go to the gym. Being vaccinated makes you stronger, makes you more resilient. I'll go to the gym every day and I don't drink water and I don't have protein. I don't know why my muscles aren't growing. I don't know how I'm going to the gym and passing out every day. Lots of sheep in here. Yeah, it's ironic to call it is so ironic for people, unvaccinated people, to call other people sheep when they are entirely making their decisions based on rhetoric and no data, which we've asked for. Coyote, did you get the data there? Being an anti-experimental mRNA doesn't mean I'm an anti-vaxxer. This is what the left does. No, it's not experimental anymore. That's like saying I don't fly on planes because the Wright brothers didn't know if their plane was going to work before they flew. But I get the hesitancy of being an early adopter of the vaccine. I did my research and I thought it was worth whatever risks there might have been because of my experience. I can get that hesitancy. If you waited a year to get the vaccine, fine, 2 years, whatever. But at this point, it has stopped being experimental 6 years ago. It's far surpassed any amount of testing. We have more data on this vaccine than almost any other vaccine, and it's overwhelmingly safe. So you're relying on data that's 6 years old. You're relying on a story, not even data, a story from 6 years ago that it was experimental. It is no longer experimental. It is tried and tested. I don't know if there's ever been a vaccine that has more data and more studies done on it. Welcome from the Moni Raid. Appreciate you guys being here as always. Thanks, Monida. All right, moving on. Numbers are loaded. I thought numbers would be massive talking about vaccines today. Guess not. Okay. I want to show you this. Remember Josh Hawley, and remember your guys' argument that he can't plead the fifth he's not allowed to plead the fifth because he's immune from prosecution. Well, Tommy Tuberville, who is likely going to be the governor and almost certainly going to be the governor in Alabama soon, tells you exactly why Fauci should plead the fifth.
Happened. I was on the help committee when the COVID first hit. We went through probably every other week, maybe sometimes every month. We had a hearing with Dr. Fauci. We all asked him questions. He lied to us, and he knew he was lying to us because we found out all the information now since then. A lot of it even in his diary, Liz, but the problem is he hurt trust in this country. He put this country in a tailspin. He almost bankrupted our...
Now, Tommy says that. I would like in the chat, can any of you tell me from his journal what lie he told? And I will fact check him live on air right now. What is the lie that he told in his journal?
Our country with what they did between Obama and Biden. This guy gets Weasel of the Year award. I mean, he will eventually end up either broke or in prison because I'll tell you what's going to happen. I'm eventually going to be the governor of Alabama. And we had the most of anybody per capita of dying in this country, and we're going to sue.
Yeah, the Obama is wild. I forgot that part. He blamed, why did he leave Trump out of that? This happened mostly under Trump. The rush of the vaccine, that happened under Trump. The development happened under Trump. Most of the mandates, the masking mandates, the distancing mandates, that all happened under Trump. Now, it wasn't Trump that did it, though. It was your local government. I'm not even blaming Trump for that. Your local government is the reason that you had any sort of mandates or mask requirements or social distancing rules. That is your local government. To blame Fauci, to blame Trump, to blame Biden is just to not understand basic functions of government.
Heck out of this guy. He's going to court every day of his life for the rest of his life, and he's going to have to look these people in the face, these families, because the pardon does not cover.
Robert, I already predicted that you would say that we're protecting the pharmaceutical industry rather than offering an argument. Everybody's already made that one. Can you show up with your own arguments at some point? Just dispute anything I say.
State government, and we're going to go after him with everything we've got because the guy killed or had something to do with killing 9 million people. It's an
yeah, we can't prove that, right? So
this is my favorite part. Now, Fox knows what it's like to be sued for misinformation, and somebody's in the earpiece here.
People,
yeah, we can't prove that, right? So
yeah, we can't prove that.
Determine how many people are due to that.
We can determine it. No, we can determine it because he was in on the gain of function. He was.
You're
a guy
saying
that
you can
funded
determine
this.
it. We understand that. Yes, we understand.
Is it too late? I'm not a doctor, pussyfoot. Don't ask me for medical advice. Go ask a doctor. Go ask your doctor. Say, hey, based on the evidence that you've seen from COVID-19, based on the studies that are available, what is the consensus from the data? Go ask a doctor. Ask the doctor what data they're relying on.
I want to move to do that. I want to get to the lawsuit point that you made.
Biden administration mandated an experimental vaccine to all government workers. So did the Trump administration. I'm fairly certain. Did the... maybe not, because it happened. That's right, because it happened right as Trump was leaving, right? You're probably right about that. It probably was the Biden administration. I have no problem with that. But if you have a problem with that, then yeah, that's a fair criticism. If you have a problem with vaccine mandates, go ahead and criticize. But like we have vaccine mandates all the time. Was he right to do it? Yep. The data says he was right to do it.
You know, I was on the...
If you think that that's like a violation of your rights, you can go make that argument. That's fine. I disagree with you. That argument has been heard in court, and the courts have ruled that the government has every right to do that. If you don't like it, that's fine. We can have a difference of opinions there. That's where a difference of opinions matters, right? Should the government be allowed to do vaccine mandates? I think yes. You think no. That's the debate. The courts have ruled that they do, that they can. You might disagree with that. But if we're talking about efficacy, then we need to look at data. Then your opinion and my opinion don't really fucking matter. Only the data matters, right? And I think that's where we get lost. It's fine if it seems like a lot of you want to have this opinion that the government overstepped, and so, which is fine. Again, you can have that opinion. I don't think that's a irrational opinion that you don't want the government to tell you what to put in your body. I think that's sensible. I think it's sensible if you're like, I don't trust Big Pharma. I don't trust Pfizer. I also don't trust Pfizer. I also don't trust Moderna. But none of the data that I rely on to make those decisions come from Moderna or Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson. The data that I have relied on to make those decisions come from independent studies. I would never use a study from any of these pharmaceutical companies as my standalone evidence to take a drug. We know what they did. We know how they manipulate the data. We saw what they did, what they've done to this country when it came to painkillers. Yeah, I mean, I'm agreeing with all of you. If anybody chose to be vaccinated because they saw a study that was produced by Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer, like that was a dumb fucking decision you made. Even if you made the right call, even if like the other data came out later and backed you up, that's a dumb decision. You should never trust these pharmaceutical companies. But the data that I'm looking at is not, or they are not studies done by pharmaceutical companies. They are independent studies. It's important to know the difference of what you're looking at there. I don't want to fight with anti-vaxxers. Like I think it's dumb that you've made that decision, but I think it's just because, and I get this, I think you have a distrust for the pharmaceutical industry, which is fair. I think you have a distrust for the government, which is fair. You and I share that concern. I think most of this chat shares that concern with you. Yeah. Why would we trust just whatever the government says? But I didn't do that. Many of us didn't do that. We didn't trust the guy. I didn't trust Trump. Who was it that got? Was it Harris that like was smeared for that? Was like, I wouldn't take a vaccine just because, like, I wouldn't trust a vaccine that Trump put out there. I don't remember what the exact quote was, but she was eviscerated for that. Like, oh, you're not going to trust the science when it's Trump. I don't think that's what she meant. You might think that that's what she meant, but I agree. Like, I wouldn't trust a vaccine because Biden said it was safe. That's not what I did. I looked at data. The best available data at the time said be vaccinated. That's been confirmed over time. If the data now was reversed and it said that I shouldn't have been vaccinated, I would be right here being like, man, the government fucking lied to me. They told me this was safe and it wasn't. And now I'm concerned. I'd be very nervous about that. But that's not what happened here. Some of you just want that to have happened. So and that's where you started. And you've never really left that opinion. I don't think you're very open-minded about being wrong. One thing I do think we can all agree on is we should have tried more experimental stuff. Here's some stuff we definitely should have tried.
Supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way.
Watching Dr. Birx's face here. My favorite part.
And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. We'll get the right folks who could. Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number in the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me. So we'll see. But the whole concept of the light, the way it kills it in 1 minute, that's pretty powerful. Steve, please.
Somebody just talk to Alex Berenson. I weirdly know who Alex Berenson is because of his advocacy against medical marijuana. Alex Berenson, his history is basically just being wrong about everything. There's some real scientific backing to some of the stuff he says about cannabis legalization, but he extended it. He's been wrong about everything on COVID. He said that the dangerousness of COVID was overblown. If you look at Fauci consistently said the mortality rate was suspected to be around 1%. He was right about that. It was around 1%. I think, didn't Fox give him a show? Fox News gave him a show. I don't even know if it aired. I know it was canceled quickly. Let's see. Yeah, it was called COVID. It was going to be called COVID Contrarian on Fox Nation. And it was, the surge in coronavirus cases was so large, Fox backtracked and removed it. It never even aired. Berenson said that COVID vaccinations led to 50 times more adverse effects than the flu vaccine. That's been rated false by PolitiFact. The Atlantic called him the pandemic's wrongest man. That there's no data to back up him saying that. He was on Tucker Carlson, said the mRNA vaccines are dangerous and ineffective against COVID-19 in 2022, when there was significant amounts of data saying that not only were they effective, but not more dangerous than COVID. I mean, this is the thing. And whoever told me to check out Alex Berenson, fact check him. You like Alex Berenson because he confirms what you believe. Angie said, let's find out how many MAGA take these research peptides. Yeah, it's ironic. My timeline, the confluence of people saying Dr. Fauci should go to prison and people who are injecting experimental GLP-1s, people who were early on breast augmentation and Botox, which whatever, I'm not anti-Botox. I get in trouble for this every time. But the confluence of people that are I'm drinking raw milk. I'm injecting experimental peptides that I get from the black market in China. All of those same people are Fauci for prison. That's a great point. Did I miss any other ones here? Double check. Okay. All right, just and let me get to TikTok here real quick. Thank you over on TikTok today for our top gifters today: Ali Witchley, Jan UA Dolphin, Kesley, and Potion. Did I say Potion? Appreciate it. I can't believe we haven't been taken down on TikTok yet today. That's crazy. Those that are over on TikTok, if you'll keep liking and sharing this, that'd be greatly appreciated. If you can help us out by gifting, that keeps us from getting taken down. And then everybody else that's here, I'll update the goal here in a minute. But if you can help us knock out our daily gift goal, that would be greatly appreciated. Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal are the way to go. And I'll read anything that you write. And I promise we'll get off COVID here in just a minute. We're almost done. What time is it? 11:20. Jesus Christ. Let me skip that. I want to get to two more things. This one. John Fetterman is, first of all, one precariously placed can of green paint away from being confused as Shrek every single day. But his transformation to full-blown MAGA is almost complete. Here he is yesterday.
For your regrets, but I have one. And that is early on that there was the theory that the virus could have emerged from the lab. And early on, that became
By the way, there is a theory that the virus could have emerged from a lab. Dr. Fauci has never said that theory is untrue. Dr. Fauci has said we could not rule out that this is a lab leak, but the best available science that we have coming out of China and data tracking that we have coming out of China, which is unreliable, says the initial transmission came from an animal. And so the best guess, if it came from an animal, would be the wet markets. But you can go back, you can read, even in his journal, and they admit all of this. I don't know why the Republicans omitted this, but in his journal, he specifically doesn't rule out a lab leak. Publicly, he never once ruled out the lab leak. He always said that that was possible and that our data was limited. And because of that, we have to go on our limited available data, which points that it's most likely animal to human transmission first. He never concluded that. He never concluded that it came from the wet markets. He never concluded that it didn't come from a lab. To this day, in 2026, he has still not concluded that. And to this day, in 2026, anybody saying definitively that it came from a wet market is lying. Anybody who is saying definitively that it came from the lab is lying. Nobody knows. We don't know yet. The evidence that it came from the lab has become more prevalent, but so has the evidence that it came from a wet market. Like, we have more data. We still don't know the origins of COVID-19. Just to be clear, and Dr. Fauci has never once said it did not come from the lab. So any insinuation that he said that he ruled out a lab leak is a lie.
Right-wing kinds of theory, and I thought it seemed to make sense. Now, there was a really advanced lab that was close by, and then you have this unknown virus out. So, but that became a very partisan thing, and now it seems now it's more and more emerging.
Actually, the virus that escaped has the same footprint as the one they were working on in the lab. Explain what you mean by that, Kevin. Tell me what you mean by footprint. I don't think you know. You're just saying things.
Theory that would have come from the lab. Now, you know, I think that the next time our nation's facing something like this, we are not become, you know, as I might have been, blinded by the partisan idea that maybe the truth might come from a side that's different than you are. But I think we should really be willing to pursue truth, no matter where that may have emerged, you know, for all of that.
All right. The lab leak theory is a right-wing conspiracy theory. The idea that COVID escaped from the lab is simply a theory, and words have meaning. The reason that I didn't buy into the right-wing version of the lab leak is because it required a conspiracy that the NIH, through EcoHealth, purposefully funded gain-of-function research to release a virus upon the world. That is a conspiracy that we have no evidence of. There is a difference between a conspiracy theory and a theory. The idea that COVID escaped from the wet markets is a theory. If it was a conspiracy theory, we'd say something like the Chinese government purposely injected these animals in the wet market with the COVID virus, and in order to cause a worldwide pandemic and reset global markets. That would be me pointing at the Chinese government and claiming a conspiracy. You see the difference? The idea that the government conspired to release this is a conspiracy theory. The idea that it came from the lab is a theory. And those two things are very different. So if you are a person who just believes that it's possible it came from the lab, you're not a conspiracy theorist. If you are a person who is saying that people conspired to release it from the lab, you are a conspiracy theorist, and then your conspiracy theory has not been proven. The theory of where COVID came from has not been proven one way or the other. We still don't know. And I think anybody who is taking a position one way or the other is simply just being dishonest. Let's see. There. Say there, Casey. I got that one, I think. Perfect. All right. Yeah, I want to just one more piece of misinformation that's going to be out there like crazy, and then we'll move on. This was Peter Navarro complaining on Fox News. By the way, What Peter Navarro is complaining about here is that he wasn't able to make a bunch of money off of, off of treatment.
All this stuff with science, Jasmine, I want to emphasize, tells us now works. He was saying didn't work. I had 1 million doses of hydroxychloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine. I think he means hydroxychloroquine and not hydroxychloroquine. Pretty sure that's what he means.
Warehouses as the defense policy coordinator for the DPA that I was trying to distribute to hospitals, and he got the FDA to stop me from doing that. Thousands of people could be here in this country right now alive if I had been able to distribute that. Take that to the bank. That's what the science says.
Okay, I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot about that.
Okay. We have a very good case study on hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. Peru was convinced, the country of Peru was convinced, based on anecdotal evidence, that what they should do is that they should give, in the early stages, they should give people hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin as a treatment to help people survive from COVID. And we have years of studies on this now. It was standard. The Ministry of Health in Peru standardized treatment protocols that included both hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin for both mild and moderate COVID-19 cases. They even had they had COVID kits that gave those drugs to patients. You can buy these COVID kits on Fox News still at this to this day. Not on Fox News, but there's commercials for it. The policy was implemented, even though they didn't have any high quality evidence that it worked. Public officials were warning that there was no proven efficacy, and now we have the results. Hydroxychloroquine plus azithromycin was associated with an 84% higher all-cause mortality rate. If you got COVID and were treated with the mixture of hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin, your mortality rate was increased by 84%. The same combination was also increased the risk of death or ICU transfer and death or oxygen requirement from 1.5 to 1.7. Ivermectin alone, according to Peru, again, who mandated this, showed no mortality benefit. There was no benefit from people taking ivermectin, and it was associated with an increased risk of death or ICU transfer by 1.58. Hydroxychloroquine alone was associated with an increased risk of death or oxygen prescription. The authors of the study concluded not only were there no beneficial effects from hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, azithromycin, or the combinations of the three, but it appeared, based on their data, to increase the likelihood that you died. And yet, on Fox News and all over the Republican caucus, you have people saying you need hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. It's ironic that they don't hold, who develops hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin? Drug companies, right? Isn't that ironic? That they say, don't take the experimental vaccine, take these drugs designed to treat other things that have no proven efficacy to help with COVID-19 instead. Isn't that experimental? And then you look at the data between the two. The data for the vaccine is overwhelmingly positive. The data for hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin is overwhelmingly negative. And I've said this before. I think conservatives' goal is to take the wrong position on every single thing in the fucking world. Yeah, thanks, Gumps. Who was asking to come up? Synths fam. Mods, will you just, anybody that wants to come up, Casey, will you just put in all the chats how they can come up here and talk to me if they want to? Happy to do it. Okay, moving on from COVID. I don't want to talk about COVID the rest of the day. I'm not going to stop the chat from talking about it, but moving on. This was a incredible report. You guys know who Ashley Moody is. She's a Florida congresswoman. She was investigated by the local CBS channel in Florida, and if you know anything about Florida, if you're from Florida, Florida's good at a lot of things. They have really cool hurricanes. They have really insane people. They're about to get Grand Theft Auto 6. They have alligators. They're really good at not charging income taxes. And they are the most fraudulent state in the history of our country. Florida is the fraud capital of the world. Medicare fraud, insurance fraud, welfare fraud. Name the fraud, Florida dominates at it. And what they do, maybe perhaps best of all, is take fraudsters and put them in office. The amount of fraudsters you have in Florida, and your governor, fraudster, and this links the governor. Your senator was responsible for the biggest Medicare fraud in history. And you're like, let's make him governor. And after he was governor, you're like, let's make him senator too. Florida is a backwards ass place. But this report linking Ashley Moody and the Hope, her organization called Hope Florida, and the way that they were able to take $10 million in taxpayer money and funnel that to themselves is really just extraordinary stuff. A round of applause for Florida here.
Has been in the United States Senate for 18 months, and yet she remains a bit of an enigma. She doesn't really do interviews, she keeps a low profile, and even going back to her years as Florida's Attorney General, she seemed most comfortable standing in the background at press conferences and doing what she could to fly under the radar. And you can't fault that strategy. She won 2 statewide elections in 2018 and 2022, and it was her quiet fealty to Ron DeSantis that led to this moment in January of 2025.
So that is why today I'm proud to announce that I am selecting our Attorney General, Ashley Moody, to serve as our next U.S. Senator.
Now, DeSantis appointed Moody to the United States Senate to replace Marco Rubio.
I wonder why he chose her. Not because they were involved in fraud together, right?
Cited several reasons for why he was appointing Moody, arguing she would be tough on immigration and that she was a true law and order stalwart. When it was her turn, Moody spoke for a few minutes and thanked the governor.
And I am proud not to just say I have fought alongside you for 6 years, but I'm proud to call you a friend, and I am very honored with this nomination. Thank you so much.
And although this was supposedly her big day, Moody then moved off to the side of the stage, away from the microphones. Even when a reporter asked a question and said he wanted to hear responses from both.
You're in Florida, Ack? I didn't know that. Florida gonna Florida. I love that. Remember, they got Corey Mills, the wife beater, down there too. It's not just fraud. He does a lot of fraud too, but he also beats women, which nobody loves abusing women and children more than Florida politicians.
DeSantis and Moody. DeSantis did all the talking. In fact, DeSantis answered all the questions that followed as Moody all but vanished.
Florida also has the Dolphins. I wouldn't brag about that. Your best team is the Jaguars. That's not great.
Normally, I would argue that scene exposes more about the governor's ego than anything else. But I think it also reveals a lot about Moody. If you don't say anything, then people won't have anything to criticize. I recently went back and watched the Moody announcement again, and something DeSantis said about why he selected her jumped out at me.
She was also a staunch opponent and helped us defeat Amendments 3 and 4 in the most recent November election.
Amendment 3 was the...
Oh my God, guys, I'm so sorry. Jen's been sending me Venmos and I've missed all of them. I'm so sorry. My notifications were off on my texts. I'm sorry. Gail said, I was completely healthy before catching COVID in November 2020, before vaccines were even available to the public. In the 6 years since, I've been diagnosed with RA, narcolepsy, fibromyalgia, MECFS, MCAS, PEM, Raynaud's, and UCTD. I'm now immunocompromised and can't get vaccinated. I can stay awake 6 to 8 hours a day tops. Naps are non-negotiable. Even then, showers get scheduled around my energy levels and doctor's appointments. I don't have a social life anymore because I don't have the time or energy for one. This isn't rare. 18 million adults and 6 million children are living with long COVID, with over 200 symptoms linked to it across multiple body systems. It's not a hoax. It's my life. Jesus. Fucking insane. Damien said, for keeping the lights on. And Johnny said, I almost died again yesterday. Jesus, Johnny. Stay awake, my friend. Don't die.
amendment that would have restored abortion rights in Florida, and Amendment 4 was the measure to legalize marijuana. How exactly did she help? Well, that takes us back to the Hope Florida scandal. As Florida Attorney General, it was Moody and her office that approved the diversion of $10 million of taxpayer money from a Medicaid settlement to the Hope Florida Foundation. And the Attorney General did so without
the states doing Medicare fraud now.
Placing any of the safeguards and guarantees that her office would typically require to make sure that the money was properly spent. This was money that was supposed to be used to expand health care for children in Florida, but instead it ended up in the bank accounts of a pair of political action committees, one of which was controlled by the governor and his chief of staff, James Uthmeyer.
We can't. What about what's going on in Minnesota with the Medicare fraud? Florida just siphoning money from Medicare to political action committees. Where's the outrage? Where's Nick Shirley on this one? Somebody call Nick Shirley. Certainly he'll be headed to Florida next to talk about this. Certainly.
And that was the money that DeSantis used to defeat Amendment 4. 2 months after the amendment failed, DeSantis appointed Moody to the United States Senate, and he chose Uthmeyer to replace Moody as Attorney General. Now, if you've been watching this show, you know that the diversion of that $10 million of taxpayer money led
they'll get to that act.
One Republican legislator to label it money laundering. And you would also know that it prompted a grand jury investigation, the results of which are currently being withheld from the public. Uthmeyer has been asked about Hope Florida several times, and he refuses to say if he is the one blocking the release of the grand jury report. Here he was earlier this year.
Have you asked the court to keep the grand jury findings in the Hope Florida investigation secret? And if so, why?
I don't think anybody cares about this topic any more than the liberal media. Again, there was a great...
You guys comfortable with that? Are you trying to keep this secret? You guys made this testimony secret. Did you do that on purpose? Oh, nobody cares. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I thought we cared. I guess we don't care. Thank you for telling us that we don't care about this. How come that's the Republican response to so many things now? Every time you guys do something wrong, nobody cares. They just tell you nobody cares. You're like, oh, that's right, I don't care. I forgot I don't care about fraud when it's my side. My bad.
Grand jury proceeding under Florida law. The contents thereof are confidential. That's not my choice. That is Florida law. What I can tell you is I have not been indicted. I've not been a suspect or a target. I've not been involved in any criminal activity. Nobody did anything wrong here.
Oh, okay. So the Medicare, when you got the Medicare funds, they were supposed to find their way into a super PAC. Well, how the fuck could you sit there with a straight face and be like, nobody did anything wrong? Medicare, there's no scenario where Medicare funds should be going into a super PAC. You pay Medicare taxes to pay for Medicare. Medicare money is supposed to go to Medicare. There's no scenario where Medicare money should find its way into a PAC. And he's like, nobody did anything wrong. Well, somebody did, because 10 million made its way into a PAC. Somebody did something wrong.
I'll say it again. It is remarkable for the state's top law enforcement official to argue that nobody cares about $10 million of taxpayer money being diverted into a dark money campaign to influence the results of the 2024 election. He called it
RDP didn't care when the Democrats do fraud. Actually, I cover all fraud. I cover the fraud all the time. I covered it in Minnesota. I covered it in California. I played all of Nick Shirley's video. We fact-checked it. We showed where the fraud was really coming from. I care more about fraud than any of you Republicans. You Republicans don't seem to know what the fuck fraud is. Ironically enough, Nick Shirley shows up near fraud, near places where fraud is happening, and exposes $0 in fraud. And me, in 5 minutes of research on the internet, find the actual fraud while Nick Shirley's like, look at how nice that car is. Must be fraud. We cover fraud here all the time. I covered the Minnesota story before Nick Shirley did. I didn't cover California until Nick Shirley did. And then when we played his whole video, we found the actual fraud. We found the paperwork. The paperwork that he used was literally documents from an investigation by the state. He used all of the information of the fraud that the state had already found and prosecuted, and it's like, look what I found. Publicly available data of the state already charging people with fraud, and Nick's like, look, I found it, guys.
A nothing burger. But he is not the only one refusing to provide answers about Hope Florida. The one person who has escaped any real scrutiny about their role in the scandal has been Ashley Moody. I tried to interview her at a Republican Party event last month, but she said she didn't have time to talk to me and to schedule something with her staff. So I requested an interview, but I never heard back. 3 weeks ago, I sent her office and her campaign a series of questions about Hope Florida. And again, they never responded. Among my questions, when her office approved the diversion of the $10 million, did she know the money was going to be used for political purposes? Did she ever talk to the governor or anyone on his team about it? Does she think it was appropriate for money intended to expand Medicaid for children to end up in a political campaign instead? In other words, does she agree with Uthmeyer that this is all a big nothing burger? I even asked if she was the one who filed an objection to the release of the grand jury report and if she wanted the grand jury report to be made public. Again, no response. We do know what Florida's other senator believes. Last year on social media, Rick Scott posted this: millions in tax dollars for poor kids have no business funding political ads. But we've heard nothing from Moody. And yet as she...
Rick Scott, we really need to take good care of Medicare money. It should not be misspent or mishandled. Wasn't it $1.3 billion in Medicare fraud his company was charged with? $1.3 billion. And he's like, guys, we really need to take this shit more seriously. I'm tired of not taking this seriously enough.
Runs for election to the Senate this November. It is hard to imagine she can avoid questions about Hope Florida. Because when you look at the facts, Moody's office was deeply involved in diverting that $10 million. This week, I spoke to the Republican legislator most responsible for exposing what happened with Hope Florida, State Representative Alex Andrade. It was because of the hearings he held last year in the Florida House that the diversion of the $10 million to the Hope Florida...
Guys, D-Boyk wants you to know that there was no fraud prosecuted before Nick Shirley exposed it. You got to Google something, man. That's so fucking stupid. He was literally, he cited the amount that they had been fined. How did they get fined if it wasn't investigated? Where did those fines come from?
The foundation was uncovered. I know you have tried to talk to her about this. Tell me why you were even interested in talking to Ashley Moody.
First, I have nothing but respect for Senator Moody.
I have nothing but respect for that comb over. God damn, my friend. Get to supercuts ASAP. That's a lot of density over on this side of your head. It probably has a hard time keeping his head straight up.
The Attorney General's office was a signatory.
Roy from The Office is now a reporter. He's not working in the warehouse anymore.
To the settlement agreement with Centene that led to this money going to the Hope Florida Foundation. So yeah, I mean, largely I've just attempted to touch base with Senator Moody just to see, what her take on it was, or what details she might have, or what information she had at the time.
Did you try to speak to?
That's a good point, George. MAGA literally gets different news. It's not totally their fault, but not verifying the MAGA slop is their fault. Agreed.
Senator Moody?
Yes. No, I did. But at the same time, I mean, she's not obligated to speak with me, and I have a funny feeling that U.S. senators are busy.
D-Boyk, you have to talk about this, or you get muted. Okay, we've seen it. You talked about Nick Shirley. You certainly, you're a conservative. You've been talking about Nick Shirley for 3 minutes. You've certainly finished by now. Wipe it up with a towel. You have to talk about Florida fraud now for the rest of the time. Mods, feel free to mute D-Boyk. We've given you plenty of time to rant and rave about other fraud. You have to talk about this fraud before we take you seriously. Okay, it's the only thing you're allowed to talk about now until this video's done, which has a few more minutes.
But I attempted back then, last year when all of this was happening, to try and talk with her about it, but wasn't able to connect with her on it.
I guess the difficulty is that because Ashley Moody has never actually spoken about this, because she's never actually, been asked questions, we don't really know what was her thinking during all of this.
Mary by the Pool, I think it was like 1.2 billion.
And I think that's fair, Jim. You're you're in the media, you're part of that fourth estate that's supposed to be, helping folks bring to light facts.
No, we covered that other fraud on other days in far more depth, and I let him talk about that fraud. So right now we're talking about this fraud.
Working on trying to call some balls and strikes and developing the facts. And in this circumstance, I think that is fair. Senator Moody's never commented on it, so it's unclear what she knew, what she was told.
Way more, Mary. Way more.
Why there weren't more controls, more questions being asked by the Attorney General's office. The only person that, other than John Gard, who can answer those questions, I believe, would be Senator Moody.
John Gard was the Chief Deputy Attorney General under Moody, and as a refresher, this all started back around 2020 when a healthcare company called Centene was discovered to have overbilled more than 20 states.
Give me anybody who wants to talk about the fraud in California or the fraud in Minnesota, give me names of who committed the fraud. I'll allow you to keep talking about the fraud in California and Minnesota, but only by name. Tell me who did. So, because here, obviously, this is Ashley Moody. We're using names. You can give me names, and I'll look those names up, and I bet any name you gave me, their conviction predates Nick Shirley coming to town.
About $1 billion for prescription drugs under Medicaid. Florida's piece of the settlement was
I don't know if
supposed
she's
to be
allowed to speak, Dayglow.
$67 million. But in September 2024, when the settlement agreement was being drafted, Centene was unexpectedly informed by the DeSantis administration that instead of paying the state back $67 million, they only needed to return $57 million. And it should send the other $10 million to the Hope Florida Foundations. Emails obtained by the Miami Herald and the Tampa Bay Times show that Centene's lawyers were nervous about this sudden change, especially since it was diverting money to a charity aligned with the governor's wife, Casey DeSantis. From the outside, the entire affair looked suspicious, and Centene demanded to insulate and protect themselves. They wanted the state's top cop, the Attorney General, to be included in the settlement.
Thanks, Steve. Amy Bach. Perfect. Prosecuted long before Nick Shirley showed up. Thank you. Good choice. Tim Walz, duh. Yeah, thanks, Tony.
Emails show that throughout September 2024, Centene's lawyers kept inserting the Florida Attorney General into the settlement agreement. And Moody's chief...
Also, yeah, white lady. Also, Amy Bach is a white lady.
Deputy back then, John Gard, kept taking the...
Yeah, Coyote, there's been nearly 100 arrested. They were all arrested before Nick Shirley's reporting. That's the point here. And you could just look it up.
References out. But this back and forth was taking too much time. Remember, this was taking place in late September of 2024, less than 6 weeks before the November election. Polls showed the marijuana amendment could go either way, and getting that $10 million was going to be critical in DeSantis' push to defeat it. Now, ultimately, Gard relented and signed the settlement on behalf of Moody, thereby allowing the $10 million to go to the Hope Florida Foundation. And within days, the entire $10 million was then transferred out of the foundation and into the campaign against Amendment 4. In January, DeSantis...
Is that what Medicare money is for? To fight against medical marijuana? Or I guess this is recreational marijuana, right? That's what Medicare... That's why you guys pay taxes, Medicare taxes?
Gard to be a judge on the state's 2nd District Court of Appeals. Now, Andrade said what surprises him the most is that the Attorney General's office is routinely asked for guidance on matters like this. And yet in this case, they seem to have ignored the advice they would have given others.
What you see throughout decades of Attorney General opinions is the constant requirement that there be some type of control, some type of mechanism to make sure that funds, taxpayer funds, are actually being used for a public purpose. For an agreement like this with signatories like the Agency for Healthcare Administration and the Attorney General's office to make
what was it for? I'm not in Florida. Is it medical? Because medical's, yeah, I was in Florida not that long ago for a few times. Shout out my Florida friends, friends in Jacksonville. Love you guys. So it's got to be recreational, right? Because medical's already legal.
References beyond saying that this money was going to be used to expand Hope Florida's role in Medicaid. I don't think that the Attorney General's office, if another government entity had simply come to them and asked for an Attorney General opinion, they would have advised them to structure this settlement or without those controls, without those protections. So it is a bit of a head scratcher. It's a bit confusing.
If you had the opportunity to have spoken to Ashley Moody or John Gard, what were the questions that you wanted to try to get answered?
Well, yeah, what assurances from the governor's office or from ACA did you receive that the money was actually going to be used for a Medicaid purpose? What plans were in place from ACA to actually pay back the federal share of every Medicaid dollar that Hope Florida was receiving? What compliance had the Hope Florida Foundation engaged in? I mean, again, I mean, the Attorney General's office enforces requirements like if a private party receives more than $750,000 a year in state funds.
Watching from Denmark, and it's wild to observe the science, denial, and refusal of logic conclusions from empirical data sets. Learn so much about America from RTP. Sorry. I mean that legitimately. I'm sorry. I wish we were better. I wish we were presenting a better case to the world, that we weren't a bunch of fucking dipshits with just a lot of guns, but sorry.
They have to be subjected to audits and have a contract in place and be subject to oversight from a grant administrator from a state agency. None of those controls that we have in every other transaction that's similar to this were put in place or required or verified. So yeah, first and foremost, what I'd like to know, if I had the opportunity, is what assurances did ACA or the governor's office give to the Attorney General's office for the Attorney General's office to trust that these $10 million in Medicaid funds would be used for a proper purpose?
I mean, what possible purpose could they have for using these funds? Like, what possible purpose could a PAC have for Medicare funds? Florida is the most, by miles, the most corrupt state in the country. As long as you're doing things that are like for Christian nationalism, they just kind of let you do whatever.
And then, you know, what follow-up, what guarantees were provided? I mean, there's no contract between ACA and the Hope Florida Foundation for the Hope Florida Foundation to do anything in expanding Medicaid. Their role in Medicaid or providing Medicaid services. You know, there's no paperwork
Texas
at all.
could give them a run for their money.
A lot of this scrutiny began because the Hope Florida Foundation couldn't even comply with their IRS requirements as a 501c3, let alone their state audit requirements.
They're buying Skittles. All right, that's the end of that. Florida's gonna Florida. Republican's gonna Republican. Obviously, they're not gonna care about that. But good Lord, is it getting embarrassing at this point? I want to go. I'm going to skip number 5, Casey. I'm going to jump to 6. I want to talk a little bit about Iran, but I loved this clip from Jessica Tarloff, who, goddamn Jessica Tarloff. I don't know how she does her job every day and keeps her composure. She deserves some sort of composure prize. I don't know what there is. But the world thinks that Donald Trump is a joke in a lot of ways. But one of the ways that the world clearly has a track record now to go on that Donald Trump is a joke is how many times he's threatened to do something to Iran that he doesn't follow through on. Nobody believes his threats anymore, and I liked this because Tarloff brought that up, and we all agree with that. But what I did like is watching the rest of the panel try and scramble to defend it.
That fancy footwork that Jesse just did about an environmental toll being okay because it lets the Iranians save face is insane. That's basically just saying Iran will continue to control the Strait of Hormuz in perpetuity. And maybe we should have thought about that before we started this thing. If it was part of the wargaming, which everyone from the defense secretary to General Kane has said that it was, how did you not expect this to happen? It's like you gave them the best toy ever.
Congrats, getting into MP school, Paris mom.
And you think they're just going to give it back to you. That is not how toddlers behave. And Jesse should know that.
Because I'm a father, not a toddler.
Right, exactly. However you want to slice it, you are that. Nobody believes Donald Trump when he says we're locked and loaded. They don't believe him about Bridge and Power Plant Day. They don't believe him about how well diplomacy is going. They don't believe him about wiping the civilization off the face of the planet. It is like just blowing smoke and just out into the world. And it helps those, I guess, again, to go back to the market manipulation, because he always likes to say, well, things are just getting better and better and better, though $87 a barrel. It was down to 70 a week and a half ago when I told you it's going to go back.
Sorry. When Greg Gutfeld sits in this chair, his feet come up to like mid-calf. I know that, I forget dipshit's name here. I know that he's a big guy. But seeing this chair that Greg Gutfeld is normally in and seeing his feet touch the ground, Tyrus is his name. Seeing Gutfeld's feet. And he slouches too. He like kind of hangs out to get his feet to go lower.
You it's going to go back up because of the waivers being yanked away, and you were like, oh, Jessica,
I mean, don't you guys like high oil prices, Jessica? You said you wanted.
I love that. That's such a stupid. Don't you guys like high oil prices? No, nobody likes high oil prices. Nobody's ever advocated for higher oil prices. That's pathetic. What are you talking about?
High oil price.
And then
for 4 years, you drove them up to $90 a barrel, and you said that was a good thing. And what was it for? Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. There's no windmills. There's no solar panels, and people got hammered. So don't talk about like.
Yeah, can we talk about that? For 4 years, drove up oil prices. Are we sure about that? Let's go the last 5 years. There was the peak. That was during the Russian invasion, and it was dropping, and it was, where's January 2025, $72 a barrel, and continued to drop, and now I wouldn't say that's driving it up. I wouldn't say that's what that is. Because it peaked in 2020 when Russia invaded Ukraine. Democrats wanted that for windmills. These arguments have lost their entire substance. Whatever substance Republicans used to have. That's what I was telling my friends the other day. Like, you used to be able to like make some sort of sense about what Republicans were saying. They were wrong. I was a Republican and I was wrong, so I'll say it. But like, we used data. We might have misused data a lot of times. But this is just silly at this point. Democrats want oil prices to be trillions of dollars per barrel so that they can have windmills. The fuck? Like, that's legitimately their argument now. We haven't done this for a while. Everardo, when you say let her speak, I stop the videos. And I don't know if you're saying like that you want them to let them speak, but if you are speaking to me, I always interrupt. It's kind of what I do. I'll give you one pass here, but don't. The chat will tell you we don't want to start saying like that. I have to let them speak, otherwise I get petty.
Like, oh, Jessica.
I mean, don't you guys like high oil prices, Jessica? You said you wanted high oil price.
And then
for 4 years, you drove them up to $90 a barrel, and you said that was a good thing. And what was it for? Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. There's no windmill.
I stated, are you talking to me? I stated that Russia, it was 2020. I just showed you the chart. It was 2022. I didn't state it was, if I said 2020, the chart I just showed you was 2022. If I said 2020, I apologize. We were clearly looking at 2022.
There's no solar panels, and people got hammered. So don't talk about like you know anything about the oil markets.
All right, let's go again about what a toll versus an environment.
Jesse knows about the oil market because libs want expensive oil.
Fee is. In terms
it's the difference between a man and a woman. You guys just changed the definition of things.
Okay.
This is a little bit different.
What the fuck is he talking about? Look at this. He knows. Like, this is the thing, Republicans. I hope you have realized this. Like, this is all a fucking LARP. He's staring at the camera. He knows this is stupid. He just knows that you're stupid. He knows that you guys buy this shit. He doesn't mean any of this stuff. Like, this is all such a LARP. He wouldn't do this if he was serious. They just need Donald. They just need you guys to keep tuning in. And so they're going to dick ride Trump, but they don't care how ridiculous they look because they're actors. Nothing they're doing is real. They've said it in court documents over and over. We're not a news channel. We're entertainment.
As a proud mother of two.
Oh, sorry, real quick. William said, joining the Antifa dues and joke train. What is the best present? Broken drugs. You can't be them. that one. Janelle said, let's get this dollar train going. That is a good point, guys. We are way behind on the gift goal today, and that's my bad because Jen's not here, and I told you I'd forget. If you could help us knock out the remaining balance of that gift goal by the end of the live, that would be greatly appreciated. We got about an hour left. Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App are the ways to go, and I will read any message that you send me. Super Chats will also show up, and I can read those messages. And then on TikTok, you guys are doing a great job keeping us alive today while we talked about COVID. So well done. You all deserve a round of applause. La Ra Lee, Johnny D, literally every single day are the top gifters, and I appreciate it. Ali, Jen, and Dolphin, thank you guys for rounding out the top 5. But again, if you could help us knock out that gift goal, it would be awesome, because what we talk about drives no ad revenue from YouTube, and this is our full-time job.
Who got it out of my own body. I know full well what a woman is, and I know what a man is, and using that Marsha Blackburn thing for 8 years in perpetuity is just stupid. The leakers. Every leak that we have read about has been true and come to fruition, whether it's the draft of the MOU, where you say it's Iranian propaganda. It's actually the MOU. The first set of leaks went to the Atlantic, and that looked like it was J.D. Vance's team. This set of leaks, which is supposedly about J.D. Vance being concerned about munitions and General Kane, is in the Times and the Wall Street Journal. You don't think that after going through months of this, having to go after Iran over and over again when it was billed as maybe just a few weeks, hasn't depleted our munitions, and that China isn't looking at Taiwan, or
Jessica,
everything
you don't
looks great,
even know
Jessica, you don't
anything
even
about
believe
Taiwan.
this.
Okay.
Mute Jerry Garcia for 5 minutes. Sorry, Jerry. He's on topic, bud. On topic. Frankie said, it'd be great if people would actually pay attention and learn from this, but alas, they won't. I think a lot of people pay attention and learn from this. We just need people elsewhere. We need the people here arguing all day to just like learn something so we could get back to a semblance of a sane country. Axe said, choo-choo, great show today. Not going to lie. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you liked it. I have liked today's show. I don't know if the audience has appreciated today's show. It's hard to tell. Usually when the audience loves the show, we hit that gift goal earlier. But today could just be a lot of information being processed. I never know. And so I appreciate that feedback, Ack. All right. This video came out, and I didn't get to it the other day, but there was a documentary. I want to say Wall Street Journal got this, but I think it might have been PBS who was doing the documentary following Lindsey Graham. And now that he has passed away, I don't know if that'll be completed, but we do have this clip from Lindsey Graham that shows how much he loved bloodshed. Now, Trump gave his eulogy. I'm not going to show anything from that funeral, except for one thing, which I'll show right now. But there seems to be like Trump's like he loved war. He loved it so much. He was a war hawk. I do think Trump was right about that. Sean Hannity was like it was misunderstood. They said he didn't like war, or they said that he loved war, but he really, really didn't love war. And the only clip I thought out of all of that, though, was worth watching was what I believe is a member of the Secret Service being startled into consciousness by what we can only guess is Donald Trump shitting his pants like he always does. And we're going to watch this guy's face.
You ready?
Yeah.
Certainly Exhibit A in this case. But look, I mean, this is a complicated legacy. I think it plays out. It will continue to be complicated. But I do think that, yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
I think it plays out. It will continue to be complicated. How that plays out. But I do think that, yeah.
My favorite thing is the people around it. Like, the books that are going to come out after he dies, they'll be like, man, it's crazy. You wouldn't imagine, like, every meeting we were in, this dude would just violently shit his pants, and we all had to just go along with it. Which, by the way, it's the right thing to do. He's incontinent. He can't control his bowels. I'm sure that's very embarrassing. If you're working for the president, the right thing to do is pretend that the president isn't shitting their pants. I don't think it's disqualifying if you shit your pants, but I do enjoy the reactions from everybody. All right, here's Lindsey Graham celebrating murdering Iranians.
Has been knocked out now. Their missile count is going way down.
No, I'll play it again after.
Look what we've done here.
I know.
I almost cried.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how long have we been pushing this?
Well, I mean, you've been pushing this for years, right?
Right. It's here. I talked to Trump this morning.
It's literally.
Oh, he's jacked.
Yeah.
It's the best thing I've ever done. He loves blowing stuff up. So, there are a lot of people inside didn't want to do it. So I've had my challenges. But President Trump...
How would we do that, Kevin? Shut the fuck up. How about you prove that Trump shits his pants? There's like been a million people who have worked with him who have said that. If you don't want to believe that he shits his pants, that's fine. You can literally see that he's wearing a diaper, right? You can look at pictures of him. He clearly wears a diaper. People have audibly heard him. There's people that worked on The Apprentice that said he did. If you don't want to believe it, that's fine. That's okay. It's not a big deal. We're going to say it. And we can't prove it because what am I going to do? How am I going to get access to his diaper? What do you want me to do, Kevin? He's perfect. He never would shit his pants. I don't know, man. There's a lot of people making stink faces around him.
When he gets into the zone, he listens, asks good...
Yeah, it is on me to prove it, and I don't give a fuck. If you don't want to believe it, it's a difference of opinion, Kevin. I'm not stating it as a fact, okay? Just a difference of... I think he's shitting his pants. You probably think he's farting angels.
Questions, no tweeting. He has done nothing. He hasn't tweeted much at all. No drama. He's been a great wartime president. I said last night that Trump and Bibi are like Roosevelt and Churchill.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. These two war criminals. I mean, I guess you could probably argue that Roosevelt and Churchill were pretty warmongery.
I mean, they're the right two guys to confront this evil.
All right. Gross. Lindsey Graham was gross. Rest in hell, bud. Thomas said, come on, everybody, join the train. Today, Trump's the fuck boy. Just don't be a fool. Wrap your tool. Good point. Don't be a fool. Wrap that tool. Natalie said, great show. Thank you. Nighthawk said, great show. Thank you very much. Will said, it was supposed to... Okay, I got it now. So Will's joke was, what is the best present? Broken drums. You can't beat them. Now I'm with you. All right. Thank you, Will. I do like that one. Sorry, I fucked it up the whole delivery for you. Okay, moving on. Let's talk a little bit more about Iran. Donald Trump was asked specifically, I guess kind of related here, about the money. Now, apparently we've taken in $13 billion from Venezuela. We should know where that money goes. Here's what Trump says about it.
There's been reports that the United States has taken in $13 billion from Venezuela. Where is that money going?
$13 billion from Venezuela? I think even more than that. Now, Venezuela, we've paid for that war many times over. And that'll happen with Iran also. We paid for the war many times over.
But where is that money going?
Which, by the way, no other president can say that for a long time. Okay? When was the last president that could say that? So we had a cost of Venezuela. We paid for it many, many times over. And now, as you know, we have a very good relationship with Venezuela.
Money going?
Toward running the country.
No, in the U.S. The money that the U.S. is taking in, where is that money going? Yes.
Toward running the country. It can go to the military. Congress has to approve it. Congress doesn't like approving money for the military. They like giving it to things that shouldn't be done. But we're taking in a lot of money, billions and billions of dollars from Venezuela. That'll happen with Iran, too.
All right. Just no transparency. I don't even know if we have that money. Why is everything such a big fucking secret? Why can't we ever know what's going on? Why does everything have to be such a big fucking secret with this administration? No, thank you. Noel Castler is the name, Kevin. You can look up the testimony from Noel Castler about Trump shitting his pants. First, I mean, if you don't want to believe a firsthand account, that's fine. But Noel Castler, who worked with Trump, worked on the set of The Apprentice, said that Trump would regularly shit his pants. But you should fuck it. All right. Let's just play it. I don't know why we're doing this, but we'll go ahead and be petty for you. That's it. Yeah,
the diapers is not a joke. It depends. Diaper Don is trending, but it's based in reality. He would often soil himself on The Apprentice set. He's
Thanks, Denise, for the Antifa dues.
Continent from all the speed. all the Adderall he does, the cocaine that he's done for decades, all that stuff has a laxative and it has an effect on your bowels, and his are uncontrollable. He's worn diapers since probably the 90s, but I saw it firsthand in the 2000s on Celebrity Apprentice in late 2000s, and we
Ruth said to stave off Jen's wrath. Thank you very much.
have to stop the show and change him, and that was Keith Schiller's job. He would take him off set, he would wipe him down. Our nickname for Keith was Wet Wipes. It's not a joke. It's happened several times. And you've seen it happen while he's in office. You've seen he was in the Oval Office with Erdogan, and you could clearly hear him sort of evacuating himself. He did it in front of Senator Feinstein, Dianne Feinstein, at a press conference. So he does it, and he almost sits there like and unaware of it, And one time I saw Ivanka have to go kind of whisper in his ear, and then Keith came and took him off stage. He'll also do it in a rage, and this is where it gets really drug related. He'll start to freak out. One time there was
Prove it's false, Claire. Prove it's false that he's not shitting his pants.
the word arbitrage on a cue card, and he started screaming that the script department was setting him up. You're setting me up, and he just freaked out and then very loudly evacuated his bowels, and you could smell it, and the guy who was holding the boom mic, was tearing up. So that's where the nickname, the SHIT show, came from. That was
there it is. You can watch his interview. He's talked about this many times. I want to show you the worst take on Ukraine I've ever seen in my fucking life. Who was this tweet from? Josh Eagle said, horseshoe theory remains ironclad. When you watch this, you'll understand. I don't know what the fuck happened to Cenk. I've never liked Cenk. I never really watched him. As I became a progressive, he was never somebody that was palatable for me anyways. I think I've said this before, but like the first real progressive I ever listened to regularly was Vosh. And then I listened to David Pakman a bit. I outgrew David Pakman, Brian Tyler Cohen, and then the Majority Report. But the most influential people on my political journey to the left were certainly Sam Cedar, Emma Vigeland, and Vosh. But this is the worst take I've heard on Ukraine ever.
Especially with supporting the Ukrainians' war. So it's been a long time now. I don't know, they seem like they've been at war for about 18 years now. So the reason I was in favor of it, because Russia attacked them.
What is a horseshoe theory? Horseshoe theory is that the far left and the far right are not complete opposites on a straight line, but they're actually closer together like a horseshoe. I don't know if that's true. Like, my only contention there is that I think that people would consider me pretty far on the left, and I don't have this opinion. I think Cenk is a moderate, extremely moderate now.
It was definitely Russian aggression. Yes, there were reasons and excuses, etc. Bottom line is, you attack someone like Israel attacks Lebanon, it's Israel's fault. Russia attacks Ukraine, it's Russia's fault. So number two, we had promised the Ukrainians defense when we had them give up their nuclear weapons. True. Okay, but now we've supported you for about 87 years in a row in this war.
Yeah.
There's a limit to how long we can go. What if the war goes for 2 centuries?
Then we help them for 2 centuries, because if we don't, they take Europe.
Do we still owe you, right? So now.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. We do. Maybe we just don't lick Russia's balls so much.
The second issue is that Ukraine has now become basically Israel. Now, why do I say that?
This is where it's the worst take I've ever heard in my life. Ukraine is basically Israel.
Now, why do I say that? We're a rare show that talks about this phenomenon. It's really important. Remember, Russia was helping Iran and Syria. Israel needed Russia distracted so they could topple Bashar al-Assad. Oh wait, that happened, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
During the Ukraine-Russia war. And that Iran couldn't be helped when Iran was attacked. Oh right, that also happened during the Ukraine-Russia war. So Ukraine and Israel working together to keep Russia busy so that Israel can attack its neighbors and take more.
Ukraine, I swear to God, this is his take. The Young Turks, if anybody still gives a fuck about the Young Turks, they should end it. He's arguing that Ukraine and Israel are working together to keep Russia distracted. Russia invaded Ukraine. How are we blaming Ukraine? Yeah, they were distracting him. How'd they distract them? They're there. They share a border. And then Russia invaded? Yeah. And that's Ukraine's fault. Yeah, they're doing it to keep Russia distracted. Couldn't Russia just not invade? If Russia didn't want to be distracted, maybe we place a little blame on Russia, Cenk. In fact, maybe more than a little. Maybe 100% of the blame should go to Russia for invading another country. We're upset with Ukraine. Q 2 weeks from now, Cenk running a story on Crimea and how the people of Crimea have Russian heritage and they actually wanted to be part of Russia. And never mind the fact that this was literally like the beginnings of the Russian investigation, where Paul Manafort, Donald Trump's campaign manager, who pled guilty to working with Russia, was hired by Russia to cause an uprising in Crimea and try and get the people of Crimea to pressure their government to allow Crimea to be part of Russia. And they didn't need to be part of Russia. They just need an excuse to allow Russia to invade Crimea. He's doing Russian propaganda right now. He is blaming Ukraine for Russia invading Ukraine as a way to keep Russia distracted from helping Iran. This is the worst connection I've ever seen in my life. He's like criticizing Israel and saying like Israel is using Ukraine to distract and Ukraine's in on it by allowing Russia to invade them. I saw Ukraine try and stop Russia. They were like, hey, don't do that. We're going to shoot missiles at you. We're going to get drones and we're going to murder your soldiers. Ukraine tried to tell Russia not to do it, and Russia's like, no, we're going to do it anyways. And Cenk now is saying that that's somehow Ukraine's fault. What the fuck happened to the Young Turks?
Territory. So,
by the way, he will get 1/1,000,000th of the criticism that Hassan got for having the audacity to say that maybe like innocent people in Iran shouldn't die and that innocent Palestinians shouldn't die. Hassan's like, innocent people shouldn't die. And they're like, you fucking communist traitor. And then Cenk's like, you know what? It's actually Ukraine's fault that Russia invaded and nobody's even going to pick this up.
So before that was apparent to people who were paying attention. Now it's more than apparent. It's obvious because Ukraine is literally.
Putin went into Ukraine to fight the neo-Nazis. Yeah, for sure. I'm wrong. Okay. I like you, Proud Papa. What am I missing here? No, that's not all Hassan has said. Hassan said some fucked up things. I'm just comparing some of the things that Hassan said, like that the United States deserved 9/11. He deserves all the criticism in the world for that. I'm comparing Hassan's like ideas on foreign policy to Cenk's. Like, I'm not saying Hassan is perfect, for sure. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just comparing two similar scenarios. This segment was about blaming bombing a Ukrainian ship. Or I mean, an Iranian ship. Okay, but I still don't understand. Okay, let me go back then.
Now, why do I say that? We're a rare show that talks about this phenomenon. It's really important. Remember, Russia was helping Iran and Syria. Israel needed Russia distracted so they could topple Bashar al-Assad. Oh wait, that happened, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
During the Ukraine-Russia war. And that Iran couldn't be helped when Iran was attacked. Oh right, that also happened during the Ukraine-Russia war. So Ukraine and Israel working together to keep Russia busy so that Israel can attack its neighbors and take more territory. So before that was apparent to people who were paying attention. Now it's more than apparent, it's obvious because Ukraine is literally joining the war and attacking Iran.
Where was this? This was in the Caspian Sea, right? Is that right? Okay, so let's pull this up here. And what's Ukraine is saying that they did this for what reason? I still don't get the take. Like, I didn't know that was I saw this story. I didn't get that's what he was saying here though. I'm gonna read the chat for a second and see what context I'm missing. Has Ukraine confirmed? They took credit. Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Ukraine said they did it because it had weapons to Russia. Well, I think it was Russia sending it, like Russian weapons, because it wasn't Russia sending it to Iran. According to Ukraine, a Russian warship and cargo vessel transporting Iran-linked military cargo in the Caspian Sea. Ukraine's stated objective was to interdict weapons shipments that it says are being used to attack Ukrainian civilians. President Zelensky announced that vessels involved in shipping military cargo between Russia and Iran, as well as okay, well, what's wrong with that then? Are we saying that Zelensky's wrong, that that's not what was going on? Iran was sending drones. I mean, that's what Zelensky's saying here, is that they believed that it was coming to Russia. Iran's foreign ministry condemned the attack, saying it resulted in an explosion that killed one sailor and injured another. Iran's foreign minister called the strike an egregious violation of the UN Charter and warned it cannot go unanswered, while also alleging it was executed at Israel's request. I mean, how would Iran know that? Ukraine rejected Iran's complaints, with Foreign Minister Andriy Sabiha stating Iran had no standing to pose as a victim given its military assistance to Russia, and Ukraine's ambassador to Israel saying the vessel was carrying military components, not civilian cargo. I mean, given all of that, where's Cenk making this leap? I still don't get the take. Still don't understand it. Who was the first person who brought this up? Is there any evidence? Does anybody have any evidence that this was weaponry going from Russia to Iran and not the other way around? Even if it was, would Ukraine know that? Right, Ari, the Caspian Sea is the direct route between Iran and Russia. He thinks Ukraine is trying to join the wars? Why? It's a bad take is why? Okay. You agree with Zelensky? All right. I do too. I mean, I again, some of this stuff, this is a little bit new to me. Yesterday was kind of a hell of a day. So I admittedly, and I appreciate the chat for providing the extra context that I was missing, but providing that extra context isn't changing my opinion on
Second
this.
issue is that Ukraine has now become basically Israel. Now, why do I say that?
I mean,
and we're a rare show that talks about—
that's a crazy thing to say. Ukraine is basically Israel?
This phenomenon, it's really important. Remember, Russia was helping Iran and Syria. Israel needed Russia distracted so they could topple Bashar al-Assad. Oh wait, that happened, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
During the Ukraine-Russia war. And that Iran couldn't be helped when Iran was attacked. Oh right, that also happened during the Ukraine-Russia war. So Ukraine and Israel working together to keep Russia busy so that Israel can attack its neighbors and take more territory. So before that—
bombing one ship, I mean, that just, bombing one ship is not the cover needed. Israel hasn't needed any cover to invade their neighbors. Israel has all the cover to invade their neighbors that they need by just being Israel, and the United States government not doing a goddamn thing to stop them. Like, I'm sorry, Israel's been invading their neighbors for a long time, and they don't rely on Ukraine bombing one ship to do that. That doesn't make sense to me. Sorry, who was it? Proud Papa. You can message Casey, and she can get you up to talk about that. Ari, thanks for the DM. Said Iran says Ukrainian attack on vessel in Caspian Sea killed a sailor. Here's the X post, I think. Shit, I put I accept, damn it. Ukraine has claimed responsibility for a series of long-range strikes in the Caspian Sea, targeting a Russian warship and several vessels allegedly involved in transporting military equipment. The announcement was made on Saturday by Zelensky as military cooperation between Moscow and Tehran continues to deepen amid escalating tensions in the Middle East. We have also achieved excellent results thanks to long-range strikes in the Caspian Sea, notably against ships used for the delivery of military equipment involving Iran. He did not disclose the weapons used or provide further operational details. Ukraine's ambassador to Israel, Yevgen Kornichuk, said one of the vessels struck was carrying components intended for the production of drones and missiles. Speaking to Israel's N12 television channel, he argued that such shipments constituted legitimate military targets and suggested similar operations could be carried out in the future. I mean, we use that exact justification all the time to bomb. I mean, we're literally bombing Iran right now. Because we claim that they had nuclear weapons or they were close, and we have no evidence of that. So I don't know that we can be critical of them there. In an official statement, Iran said the attack violated. Okay, we covered that. Yeah, I don't know. I still have a hard time understanding Chank's take there. Proud Papa, if you can't get in today, just DM me on Discord. We can talk about it. I'm happy to hear a different perspective there. This is not necessarily my area of expertise. I do my best, and thank you guys for providing context. I'll look later today, and we'll see if I'm convinced otherwise. But just DM me anything that I'm missing. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Okay, this is my favorite response I saw all week. Now, before we started the Fauci hearings, everybody was freaking out about this announcement from Zoran Mamdani.
Here's how it will work. Once a month, our 5 city-run grocery stores will set prices for this core set of goods at 30% below typical retail prices. No exceptions, no gimmicks. The savings will last for the entire month. That means no weekly fluctuations nor sticker shock at the checkout line. Here's how it will work. Once a month.
All right. Now, conservatives were flooding to the internet to be like, 30%. The two or three arguments I heard. The first one was, how are they going to live if they cut 30%? They're going to operate at a loss. I don't think a lot of people understand what profit is. I think conservatives are unaware that the government does not need to profit from these grocery stores. I would imagine that the data that they're looking at says that the margin of profit is 30%, and so they can discount the food by 30% and operate at a net even revenue. Now, any government run grocery store, you're going to have to manage this really carefully. And we'll see how Mamdani does. The one that they ran in, the one that city ran in Florida, it wound up going under because they didn't manage it very well. And they didn't deal with price fluctuations, and they kept operating at a loss. And eventually it was a money loser. And they were like, we don't want to keep paying for this anymore. You're going to have to manage this. I don't think just given the cost of goods and the variability of the cost of goods, having blanket 30% price reductions, I don't know. I'd like to see the math on this. However, it's possible. If the operating costs and profits are 30% and they can operate and they don't have to take the profit and they can cut 30% across the board, fine. The second take I heard was that this would cause other grocery stores in the area to go out of business because they couldn't keep up with the prices. That's a dumb argument because these grocery stores are going in places where there aren't other grocery stores. That's the whole reason for these grocery stores. There are food deserts and people don't have access to a grocery store locally, so they've put in these grocery stores specifically for that reason. Secondly, those grocery stores that are going to go out of business, I would imagine that those that can't handle 30% are likely the ones that have investors and pay dividends, places like Safeway and Kroger. Or I think Kroger might be part of Safeway, but some of those big monopolies. But there's not direct competition. However, my favorite argument that I've ever seen in my entire life was this one from Paula Pant. Where are we at now? 3,000 likes. Honest question. What would stop anyone from just flipping these groceries? Buy up all the inventory at 30% less than retail, then sell it at 10% less than retail, especially canned goods and packaged goods. Kind of seems like a taxpayer-funded ARB opportunity. They're talking about ARB. You do this when you trading. It's short for arbitrage. What arbitrage is? Well, this is how I was a professional sports bettor. And I've tried to explain this before, but there's there's 30 different sports books, and every sports books has the Lakers at minus 130 tonight. So I have to bet $130 in order to win $100. But I found one sports book that has the Lakers at minus 120. No matter what I thought of that game, I would always take that bet at minus 120 because I had an edge. I had a statistical edge. Now, arbitrage bettors who get caught quickly, they look for a way where on the other side of that, let's say that the Lakers were playing the Knicks, and the Knicks were like plus 130. So you bet $100, you would win $130. And then you find some sports book that for some reason has the Lakers at plus 105, which means if you bet 100, you would get $105. So you're going to bet $200 on that game, right? If the Knicks win, you get $130, which is $30 profit, because you bet 100, which you lose if the Lakers win, and you bet 100 on the Knicks because you're betting on both sides, and you get 130. So you lost 100, but then you got back 130, so your net profit is $30. If the Lakers win, you get $105. You lose the $100 on the Knicks, but you get back $105 from the Lakers for a net profit of $5. That is an arbitrage opportunity. This person thinks that somebody on Facebook Marketplace is going to go buy the canned goods at the grocery store and sell them for a 10% less than they would get at a different grocery store, and create some business where they are going to have an arbitrage opportunity of selling canned goods on Facebook Marketplace. That's what they're saying here. We have lost the right when it comes to Mom Johnny. He has completely broken their fucking brains. How much is a can of corn? $2? So 30% of that, 30% off there is 60. Is that 60? 20. Yeah, 10% of that is 20 to 60 cents. $1.40. Then you're going to sell it at, let's say, $1.50. You're going to create this whole business making 10 cents on each item. That's going to be worth somebody's time for an arbitrage opportunity on groceries. Yeah, literally impossible. There's no way that a can of corn is 80 cents. There's no way any can of anything is less than $1, right? I remember the last time I bought canned vegetables, but I can't. It hasn't been that long ago. OCD said, I'm bringing potato salad with raisins to the Antifa potluck. Great show today. Girl Dad's Rule. We're going to throw that shit right on the ground. But we appreciate you coming. Maybe could you just put them on the side? Maybe just do like a box on the side so that the disgusting people can put them in whenever they want to. And then normal people can just not have the raisins in the potato salad. Also, I don't like potato salad, for the record. So do whatever the fuck you want. Jamar said, maybe Trump eats his own poop like some animals do. Call him Capybara Trump. Yeah, maybe. He might do that. All right. How much time do we have left? 25 minutes left. All right, guys. You've done a great job on that gift goal. About 105 left in the gift goal. If you want to help us knock that out by the end of the live, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App are the way to go, as well as Super Chats, and I will read anything that you write. For the last 25 minutes, what do we want to do here? You guys want to talk about a crypto scam? Or do you want to talk about conservative voters who are switching their vote to Tallarico in Texas? So Texas, if you want that one, crypto if you want the other one, and that'll take up the rest. Bring capitalism to families' units. Overwhelming Texas. Sorry for the other three people that were desperately wanting. I wanted to do crypto too, but we're going to do Texas. All right, this is more perfect union. We went to...
There's been a lot of talk about...
The what was this? We went to the most conservative district in South Texas. Can a Democrat win? Here you go. Shout out More Perfect Union. And I'll try not to stop this too much. Just a reminder, guys, if you can help us knock out that gift goal, the remaining balance by the end of the live, that'd be greatly appreciated. If we started a dollar train, we could do it. There's a lot of people here, a handful of people here who wait till the end of the live every day and they knock out the remaining balance of the gift goal. And it's those same people generous every time. I'd love to give them a break if we could. I understand for a lot of people, money's tight, and that's okay. No shade. Money's tight for a lot of us. If you can spare a dollar or two towards the gift goal, that would be awesome. If not, please stay here and maybe just share the live with somebody. That'd be awesome.
There's been a lot of talk about the Latino vote. Every single election in my lifetime, political pundits have spent a lot of time and money trying to analyze the motivations of Latino voters. But we're going to do something different. We're going out on the ground in the Rio Grande Valley to actually talk to voters.
1 in 5 Latino men regret voting for President Trump.
I think it's probably higher than that.
That's you. People are under stress.
Yeah.
People are trying to figure out how to put food on it.
One thing I love about the left, which is good, is that they don't believe anything. And that's good, because then you have to like be proven. But I like anytime I play a video that's like, these conservatives are changing their mind, and you're like, yeah, fucking right. I'll believe it when I see it. I appreciate that about you. I appreciate that you don't just be like, oh yeah, this is totally going to happen. But maybe watch it and we'll see. I want to know your thoughts after we watch. Corvette Girl Robin said, thank you for what you do. Thank you.
Prices of food and the prices of gas.
Thanks, Jackie. Said cha-ching and Walter for donating towards the gift goal as well.
Price of everything keeps going up and up and up and up and up.
They've seen politicians promise this or that or the other, and they've seen politicians turn on those promises.
It's true that Latinos have shifted dramatically towards Trump in the last 2 elections. With Latino men, it's even more dramatic.
And it's also true that just 2 years into Trump's second term, Latino voters could be shifting back again. But there's a much deeper story going on that the mainstream media and
said, OWO, what is this Antifa deuce? Thank you.
The leadership of both parties isn't telling you. Democrats might be confident they're winning Latinos back this time. But what happens after this one election if they don't deliver on their promises?
That question might be coming to a head right here in Texas's 15th district.
The incumbent is Monica De La Cruz, a Republican. Her challenger is new to politics, Bobby Pulido, a Tejano star who retired from his music career to run for office.
He's an unconventional Democrat, bringing a shock to the system of South Texas politics. So what is it about him? We traveled deep into the conservative heart of the district and sat Pulido down with Latinos who voted for Trump but don't like what they see. And we watched as Pulido made his pitch to get their vote and give them a convenient pathway into the Democratic Party.
Becca said, Antifa dues plus dollar train. Kyle said, jumping on the train. Thank you. Rhonda said, I know I'm not here often, but here you go. Thank you, guys.
During the Biden administration, the government just was off, man. It looked weak. It just didn't look strong, man.
Mario grew up in the Valley.
That's such a dude thing to say. They just didn't look tough, man. I need them to look tough. I never got hard during the Biden administration.
He runs a construction company. It's been a family business for years. He voted for Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024.
Mom was making dinner, and Dad was in the living room watching TV, and one of the shows that I would watch with Dad was The Apprentice. And I believe
That's an old-ass show. Kara said, love the show. Jennifer said, thanks, Jay and Jen. Pink, thanks for joining the dollar train, as well as Johnny Longtrail again, said, have you ever had a pre-dehydrated raisin? They're so good. And thank you, Stacy.
I believe we were conditioned to keep seeing them, right? And there's a certain group of people that like to see success. I like success, man. Yeah. I like success, and I like for people to be successful.
I voted for Trump during his first term.
Robert also lives in the Rio Grande Valley. Like many of his neighbors, up until recently, he was a Trump voter.
He promised a whole lot of stuff, and I fell for it.
There we go. Blue Chew. These Latinos hate Trump, but we'll vote GOP still. We'll see.
You know, oh, the country's going to get better. He's going to bring this economy back, and we're going to be where we need to be.
Texas's 15th district stretches from the Rio Grande Valley up to the suburbs of San Antonio. It is more than 80% Hispanic and predominantly working class.
Thank you,
It
Patricia.
moved significantly right in 2020 and 2024. especially amongst Latino men. Mario and Robert now think differently about Trump's success.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning.
Tired of winning would be that the market is stable. Prices and
I still can't believe he said that, like, in a serious way. People are like, you know what? I have too much money. Things are going too well. You got to stop it. It's too much for me.
and materials for construction are reasonable. People are able to build product and move it out. People are able to give work to the workers that they've had. Yeah. The workers can work without any sort of worry that they can't even go to the job site because they might be harassed by a state trooper or a police officer here in the city because they're going to call ICE on them.
New tonight, experts say ICE is intensifying.
Thanks, Savage Mom said all hell Satan.
Operations across the country. Sources telling NBC News almost 10,000 people have been arrested in just 5 days.
How much of what you've seen with President Trump's mass deportation policy has had an impact on you shifting away from the Republican Party?
Oh my God.
A lot.
Thanks,
I
Aaron.
could not, in any good conscience, vote or support a Republican candidate.
We are a border town, and we have people that have been here for 15, 20 years that have been providing a life for their families. I believe that we need to respect that as a country. And unfortunately, when Mr. Trump started doing what he was doing, I had never seen the level of anxiety that I saw. I had never seen business owners call me at the level where it's like, we can't get people to go to work.
You had this video that went viral.
Mr. Trump, you're supposed to be our hero, man, but I don't understand how this makes any sense for anyone.
Tell me about it. It was a cry for help, man. It was a cry for help because I wasn't seeing our local politicians.
Ashley said, I've been ripping you guys off long enough. Thanks for all you do. Thanks, Ashley.
Stressing the amount of impact this was having on our economy, on our builders. Yeah. And when I wasn't seeing our politicians, from our mayors to our commissioners, raising awareness that there are picking up people, literally picking them up with proper documentation to be here, why are you our leader?
When we're out on the expressway and we're out there with our signs protesting and stuff, 96% of the response we get from people are positive.
What would it have been like, maybe during Trump 1.0?
Oh my God.
Would you even been out there?
No, and I would have laughed.
Mute May for 5 minutes just because you're annoying.
To the people that would have gone out there.
2 minutes, make it 2.
You might be asking yourself, why did these guys vote for Trump if they're so upset about his immigration policy? He was very open about what he wanted to do. Well, the flip side is they have a lot of disagreements with Democrats on this issue too.
I honestly think, not to give people, if you voted for Trump, you got duped. You should have known. There's enough out there that you should have known that you were getting duped by Trump. But I hear this from Trump supporters all the time. When he says he's going to do something and then he does it, they're like, well, he says he's going to do all these other fucking things that he doesn't do. And that's the beauty for Donald Trump, is he gets to say whatever the fuck he wants. And when he doesn't get it done, they go, oh, well, you can't do everything. And then when he does do something that they don't like, they're like, oh, I didn't think he was going to do that one because he can't do everything. That's the beauty of Donald Trump. Just say whatever the fuck you want, do whatever the fuck you want. And then the people just deal with it. It is the most cuck shit you'll ever see. No matter what he does, he was right.
The reason I was inclined to vote for Trump was because during the Biden administration, what we saw was a huge influx of immigrants at our border. I believe we live in the best country in the world. We have billionaires.
Mark, if you want to suck ICE's dick, just go find where they're out patrolling and ask. They'll let you do it. They all have Grindr. Just get on Grindr. If you need to suck ICE dick, just download it. Find a glory hole near you. You don't need to do it in here. You can do it for real, man. You don't have to use your words in here. Just go out there, open up that gullet, and shove them down your throat.
That could throw rockets into the sky. So why is it that we don't have a secure border?
In this political vacuum created by the distrust of how both Trump and Democrats have approached the border and the economy, a new political contender has stepped forward. Last year, Democrat Bobby Polito launched a campaign for Texas's 15th congressional district, taking on Republican incumbent Monica De La Cruz. Bobby was born and raised in Edinburgh, Texas. He rose to fame as a successful Tejano musician before deciding to enter politics. I would love for you to introduce yourself to people that may not know who you are.
I spent 30 years singing, but before that, I was a Texas boy stater in high school. I studied political science.
That's a Texas boy stater? What is that what he said? What is that? Tracy said you become my never miss even if I have to watch later. Love how you own all these queefs, loud, wrong, and like substance. Keep kicking up. Keep calling people queefs. That's amazing.
St. Mary's University, I have been very, very politically engaged, albeit not publicly, this whole time.
He's now making the case for his candidacy as a Democrat in a Trump-supporting region.
It's a K-shaped economy. There's definitely more people falling into poverty than not.
How do you see that reflected here in the Valley?
People are struggling.
Businesses closing, gas prices going up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have, as Democrats, have not really talked about the prosperity issue. What are we doing to talk about anything that's economically related? Nothing.
Facts. Democrats, and this is why the Democratic Socialists are doing so well, is because they're actually talking about what they might do, and generic Democrats are just like, Trump's bad.
To find out whether Bobby's economic message was connecting with voters who felt abandoned by both political parties, we brought together Bobby, Mario, and several local residents for a roundtable discussion about Polito's candidacy and the challenges facing the region.
So my name is Efrain Gomez Jr. I'm from Donna, Texas, a little small town here in the RGB. I'm a construction owner. I'm here as a two-time Trump supporter.
My name's Ruben Ruiz Jr. I'm a land developer, builder also here in the Valley. I've been doing this for 24 years now. I am a Republican. I voted Republican for many years.
My name is Mario Guerrero. Voted for Mr. Trump every time he was on the ballot.
What are some of the biggest issues that voters are facing here right now?
My wife is a healthcare professional. Ask me if I have healthcare.
Do you have health?
I don't.
They just made a billionaire a trillionaire.
Yeah.
They just made that happen,
Yeah.
right? So now Elon's going to go ahead and buy the rest of Boca Chica.
Meanwhile, I'm adding water to my soap bottle just to make it last longer.
The Rio Grande Valley was a farming
I
community.
kind of just loved them. Like, I appreciate people who are keeping a good attitude about life, like kind of kicking them in the dick. I did like that part.
The one thing that unites us all is that we come from nothing. And one thing that unites us is we always want our kids to do better than what we've done. And right now, that's not happening.
In 2024, Donald Trump successfully courted working-class Latino voters by prioritizing the economy and border security. But many of those same voters are now starting to feel disillusioned.
1 in 5 Latino men regret voting for President Trump.
I think it's probably higher than that.
That's you? How did that happen? How did you go from being ardent Trump supporters to now not?
Everything he promised, he forgot about. So, yes, I regret voting for him.
I didn't forget about it. He never meant it.
This is a conservative place, South Texas.
We're conservative, but when you start attacking our people, like you start attacking our family, we're such a tight-knit community that you're attacking our families.
As Bobby told us, he's campaigning on economic issues, and those are cutting through to these voters. But immigration is on top of their minds too, and the way they tell it, the two issues are deeply connected, as the ICE crackdowns have had a major economic impact on this district. And
this stuff that conservatives are doing right now, talking about communism, their obsession with transgender people, now this anti-vax stuff. This is how they're going to try and win back the voters that they've lost. The people that Republicans have lost they've lost the conspiracy theory crowd because of Epstein. And then they've lost a lot of these people who economically are being hit really hard because these people at the end of the day care far more about their pocketbook than they care about their bigotry. These are conservatives. It'll be hard to keep these conservative voters around unless you give them like real economic opportunity. If you give them real economic growth in their area, and standing up against these tech billionaires and these oligarchs out here ripping out their resources to build data centers, that is a big win for them. Data centers in these types of areas have become a great opportunity for Democrats to message. And as much as a lot of us that spend a lot of time online and we live in the online space, as much as we care about these social issues and they are very important, to a lot of these people, it doesn't fucking matter. And so when those social issues became like such a focus online, I don't think they were the focus of the campaign. I don't think Harris focused on social issues. I don't blame her for that, but it was like online that was the biggest fucking issue. They became like they got co-opted into the movement, and then they didn't really care what Trump said. They're like, oh, he's a businessman. He's smart. He makes a lot of money. He's going to help us make a lot of money. Oh, you know what? Things were a little easier when he was president before. And there was just not a lot of reflection of like, how did we get where we are economically right now? They're just like, oh, he'll fix it because he must have fixed it last time because it was better. Oh, and by the way, socially, I'm conservative, so I'm going to align with them naturally. And it became like Trump's job not to scare them away. There wasn't a whole lot that people who are socially not conservative could do to convince them, or like they didn't do a good job convincing them, because at the end of the day, Harris didn't run on like a great agenda. He was kind of like, we're going to keep things going. We're doing well. We're going to keep things going. And that just didn't work for these voters. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not justifying their bigotry. It's just reality. That when you're running national campaigns, you have to figure out how to appeal to everybody, even people who, especially on social issues, view it differently than you. And your messaging should be focused on those things that work like broadly across the board when you're running a national campaign. When you're running like a localized campaign, then entirely different. But for a national campaign, you have to focus on and message to everybody. And the reality is Harrison Walls didn't really have a plan that was going to get anybody excited.
Businesses.
It's not only that they're getting out people that are undocumented. They go and detain people with legal U.S. green cards.
They detain naturalized citizens, okay?
Yeah.
So how can you, they did the paperwork. They did everything right. Why are you detaining them?
They're scaring people, bro.
Bertie, that's what I said. It didn't matter what she said. You're being well, maybe. Bertie, I think you're wrong about that, by the way. Like, if she was running, like this guy just said, like my wife works in healthcare and I don't have health insurance. If she ran on single payer healthcare, if she ran on like all this money we're spending in Israel, we're going to bring it home. We're going to invest in infrastructure for your kids. We're going to give you guys healthcare here. I think I understand what you're saying. There's a lot of people who were going to vote for Trump no matter what she said. But there were other people who were like, it's not like nobody was struggling. There were a lot of people that were struggling at that time. She didn't give them a real off ramp of like, oh, I'm gonna have, even if I don't like her, even if I'm a misogynistic, or even if I don't agree with her social views, I have to vote for her because of these policies. She didn't give any of that. She was running on I'm better than Trump, and I agree with you and probably most of the people here that she was better than Trump, and her plan was better than Trump's plan. But like we were gonna vote for her no matter what too. Right? Like, I think we kind of, and it was weird because we didn't have a primary, so we didn't really have a lot of say on what she ran on, because we had an uncontested primary, and then she got the nomination. But I do think if we had a contested primary like we should have had, if Joe Biden would have said I'm a one-term president like he promised, and they allowed a real primary, I think that you likely would have seen this progressive movement happen sooner. And I think there's a real shot that that could have been used to unseat Trump or to keep Trump out of office. We didn't want somebody that was tied to all the baggage of COVID, whether agree or disagree with how it was handled. That's a lot of baggage to bring into an election.
That's the thing. And then because people are scared, they're afraid to go to the job site.
That's right. A community that is living in fear and paralyzed is not a community that can function right. When the thing was getting bad and they were raiding everybody and work just went to a standstill, if you're somebody that's in that business and you say, man, I got a loan out on this project and I can't get it going, I need somebody to at least a shoulder to cry on or go, hey, let me see what I can do, whatever. The last thing you want is for somebody to ignore you.
There's still a little trepidation about whether or not Bobby will go and be the Bobby of the Rio Grande when he goes to Washington, D.C. Do you guys worry about that at all, that he'll switch up on you?
Now that we know that we can go to Washington at any time, I'm just going to show up at Bobby's office like, yo, let's go have lunch. I'm being serious.
And he would.
We'll bring the valley to you.
Yeah.
Polito's opponent, incumbent Congresswoman Monica De La Cruz, has represented...
You're right. I maybe overspoke. He didn't promise to be a one-term president, but he was saying things like he would be a transition candidate and that it was time for like new leadership and that he would be that transition to new leadership. I remember when he was president, they kept asking him if he was going to run again in 2020, and he's like, "We'll see." Like he kept it pretty vague, and he kept it vague for a reason. He kept it vague because I think there were a lot of people that thought he was going to be a one-term president. It's true he didn't explicitly promise it, but he gave that impression plenty. And if you're going to give that impression, then you can't blame people when it blows up in your face, which it did.
Texas's 15th congressional district since 2023. De La Cruz has attacked Bobby's past as a Tejano singer, saying,
South Texas isn't just a stop on a comeback tour for me.
And for some voters, these attacks are resonating.
I'm real skeptical of people that pop up out of nowhere.
And that's Bobby's story.
Yeah, you just pop up out of nowhere. Where's your public service? Where did you go? What did you do?
I had never heard of him.
I don't have any plans on one term. You're talking about The View. He said, I may end up, if I get elected, only having one term. But the idea of committing not to do one term, I'm not going to make that judgment at this moment. I mean, I see what you're saying, but he was not clear. Politico reported in 2019 from his visors that he said it was virtually inconceivable that he will run for election in 2024. Where was that one from ABC News? So when was that? That was 2019. Yeah, so I mean that was early on, and then he gave conflicting messages. Again, like I don't think this is worth really arguing over, to be honest. I think he gave conflicting messages. He was overtly vague. I do think I said that he promised he would be a one-term president, and that I misspoke there. You're right about that, and I appreciate the correction, but I do think it was vague.
Even considering politics, and for him to
May, shut up. 2 more minutes for May.
Now be in the race, well,
kind of surprising.
Well, because now it's not going to be him. It's going to be all his backing. The people that are actually pulling the strings. They got somebody with a good name. He's very popular.
What are the issues that voters here care about that Polito might be missing or uninformed on?
I just think they want him to sing. Sing. But I mean, are you going to have the Valley's best interest in mind?
Call me crazy. I have real doubts that she understands the best interests of the Valley. Call me crazy. I have this sneaking suspicion she's not hip to what's happening in the Valley, in the community, specifically probably poor communities.
Sing.
And also, just dismissing him as that he's a singer, respectfully, I don't think that's a lot of jewelry for somebody that I expect to understand the plight of poor people.
I mean, are you going to have the Valley's best interest in mind?
The person he's running against is Monica La Cruz. Why didn't they? I'm pretty sure people have said this many times. She should have stuck to selling insurances. That's what she did.
John said for the attorney bills. Thanks, man. They're piling up.
I want a politician to understand who we are, what our community is built off of. There's not one building in the Valley that has not been touched by an immigrant hand. We need representatives to understand that, and we do have some, except for one.
Despite broad community concern, Monica De La Cruz has continued to vote for funding increases for ICE and border security.
I'm with the airship. Some Democrats and Republicans are both problematic. One of them is a clear and present danger to democracy, and that is the MAGA movement inside the Republican Party. So
she voted to pass the Secure America Act, a bill backed by the Trump administration, which allocated nearly $70 billion specifically to ICE and U.S. Customs and Border Protection.
My biggest issue with her is that she
is airship a bot?
Understand the people. There's so many people that I know that have so many questions and have been calling for a town hall forever. They just have questions. They just want answer, do something. She's really absent.
Oh, now I see it.
In March.
Fuck. I got duped by a bot. Oh, my tracker's on again. I don't know why that turns on. God damn it.
Cadella Cruz released a campaign video criticizing Polito, arguing,
"This election isn't about who you want performing at your niece's quinceañera."
The Polito campaign capitalized on
this is fucking brilliant.
And promptly put out an open call for invitations to perform at quinceañeras.
That's so good.
They received over 1,000 responses.
That's a great response to an attack ad. Draco's Rose says, and Kamala still got a little bit more than a third of the votes, less than Trump, unfortunately, with what little time she campaigned for. W voters.
In the first 24 hours. We tagged along with Bobby to several of these quinceañeras to get a first-hand look. Why go into politics at a time when people don't trust politicians at an astronomical percentage?
I don't blame them.
You want to change that?
Yes, because the thing is, like, most politicians go in there and it's just all about their party loyalty. People want you to put them before your party. Don't worry about the party. Worry about us.
He's a great singer. He's a great singer.
My time in Texas ended. I kept going back to what I heard in the roundtable. These guys who voted for Trump were opposed to the current administration's immigration crackdown, and that's part of what's motivating them to vote for Bobby. But they're also not solidly Democratic voters now.
We don't want the chaos anymore.
Yeah, he's running for House.
We don't want chaos, period.
Well, we have chaos right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like we went from one extreme to another.
That means there's a gap wide open beyond this one candidate, and Democrats should be paying attention to this race, not just because Bobby is an unconventional candidate, but because these voters are wrestling with a tension that neither party has been able to solve.
Next election, you could be up for grabs again if Polito doesn't deliver on his promises or in his word. I mean, I think that everybody would be.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. If you want to support our journey.
All right. Make sure you like and subscribe to More Perfect Union over there. They are great. They do incredible work. We steal their work all the time, or repurpose their work. It's fair use, YouTube. How dare you? Oh, we moved up. There's a little catch there. I need to move. There we go. Get rid of that green screen out of the way. All right. Casey, did I miss anything? I don't think so. I think I read all of those. Let me double check chats one more time. Make sure I got them. Aaron, let me check text messages from Jen. Hey, for not having Jen, not bad. I did get duped by a bot, but that can happen to me pretty easily. That's not bad. We did it. Thank you. All right, everybody. That's it for us today. I'll be back tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here, wherever you're watching today. If you're on YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok, can you take a moment just real quick and make sure that you're following us or that you're subscribed? That's free on every one of those apps, Facebook as well. And if you'd like to join us for members-only events, you need to be a paid subscriber. We have those memberships on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok as well, starting at, I think, on YouTube at $3. And that allows you access to our members-only events, which are every other Wednesday night when we watch a movie. And hopefully, as the midterms get closer, we will have some more special events. It's just, I want to do more, but you guys know my personal life right now is a bit of a shit show. So we're kind of barely holding on with the daily show as it is. But it's a great way that you can just show your support for us and help us pay our bills each and every month. Those lawyer bills are a motherfucker. I don't know why they charge so much. I don't know why they don't do their job for free. It's devastating. But until I see you guys tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, take care of yourselves. Reach down. Oh, wait, I forgot real quick. Go outside and touch grass, okay? And if you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't touch grass or smoke grass, I don't know what you're going to do, but I believe in you, and I think you can figure out a way to have a happy day. Reach down, find your bootstraps, pull yourself up by those bootstraps, and then get those boots on the ground and do something productive with the rest of your day. But before you go outside and do something productive, look in the mirror and say something nice about yourself, because everybody has something nice about themselves. And self-love is very, very important. It's also important to hydrate, so make sure you drink lots of water before you go outside, and take some water with you just in case wherever you're going doesn't have water. It's hot out there. It's summertime. But until I see you guys tomorrow morning, take care of yourselves, stay cute and cool, and have a great, great, great summer.
Bye.